Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, a stand-up comedy and lifestyle podcast I host here out of my apartment. Welcome back. Glad to have you. It's the week of January 17th. Martin Luther King Day. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King. Actually, I think his birthday was on the 15th. Thank you for the day off and the racial advancements. I don't know. I'm happy to be in the second week of January. We have a great week of comedy, a great guest today. And if you live in the Greenville area, which most of the people who listen to this do, I hope you guys haven't died from the snow. I'm recording this on the Saturday. We're supposed to get a big snowstorm and everybody's freaking out. So I hope you guys are surviving. A little bit of I don't know. People are like buying all the bread and shit and milk at the grocery store. So hope you guys are doing okay. We do have a great guest today. We do have a great week of local comedy, and we do have something new I wanted to try. So last week I said, do you have any ideas or suggestions for the show? Let me know. Well, somebody actually had a suggestion, and I like this one. So the suggestion was have ask your listeners or viewers to come up with a joke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this random word generator, and there will be a word that comes up. And if you have a joke idea based on this word, whether it's in the punchline, the setup, or just about the word, put your joke in the comments underneath the YouTube video, or you could actually just send it to me directly, or you could actually record yourself, send me a video. I'll play it. I don't care. And if it's good enough, I'll steal it shamelessly. Just kidding. I would never do that. So that's what we're going to do. This idea was submitted to us by Jeb Wallace. He's one of my coworkers. He listens to the show. He's like, dude, I think this would be a good idea. So see, Jeb, I listened. Shout out, Jeb. You're a good dude. All right, so here's the word. Random word generator. The word is bean. Bean. If you could come up with a joke about a bean. Doesn't have to be clean either. About flicking beans, eating beans, farting's on the table. You probably shouldn't make any jokes about Mexican people. That would be bad. It's not... I'm sorry. I saw Carlos Mencia last night. He had a lot of racially charged jokes. But the word of the week is bean. If you have a joke about bean, put it in the YouTube comments. It could be in the punchline. Again, the setup. It could be the topic. But bean just has to be in the joke in some way, form, or fashion. So we'll see if anybody replies. If nobody replies, we won't have to do this again. But if you have a good joke about a bean, send it to us. We'll read it next week. All right. Our guest today, Rory O'Connor. Very excited about this guy. Rory O'Connor. He's from Sparta, New Jersey. He's probably our youngest guest on the show so far. Actually, almost our youngest guest. He's 21 years old, still in college. He actually resides for most of the year in New Jersey. Studies mechanical engineering at Rochester Institute of Technology. Super smart guy. And he was down here in an internship, and that was when he started doing comedy. We met him at the Comedy Zone, and dude is because he studies engineering, he's very smart, but he's also very quirky, very nerdy. He started out the interview talking in French Creole, if that gives you any idea. But yeah, he's so young. I mean, we'd go to karaoke after the mics, and I'd feel bad because for the first few months, he was only 20 years old. He couldn't even get into the karaoke bar. So, yeah, I love that somebody, like, I'm super jealous that he started as young as he did. He really loves comedy, loves the community. He always was supportive and sharing stuff. One fun fact about him, we talked about this in the interview, but he used to be a little chubby guy. Growing up, he was kind of the heavier kid, a little fatty. He used to weigh 6'2", 240, and he dropped 60 to 70 pounds. And so really big on self-discipline, really proud of him that he got in shape and did all that. And we talked about that. We talked about a pretty good dumpster fire story too, where he almost starved to death in the wilderness. So I want to stick around for that. Really enjoyed the interview. Before that, here's what's going on this week in local comedy. Again, we do this every week. If you don't live in Greenville, feel free to skip ahead 2 minutes to the interview. So this week, Monday, we have in Columbia, Michael Garrick. It's his birthday today. So we have the Michael Garrick roast at the Joint in Columbia. If you want to make the drive down and you're listening to this in the morning, message Michael Garrick about that. Happy birthday, Michael. And more importantly, Martin Luther King. But here in Greenville, we have our usual open mics, Coffee Underground, downtown, hosted by No Expectations Comedy, Craig Holcomb, Travis Thubbin. Sign up starts at 6, show starts at 7. No mic on Tuesday this week, although I will be in Atlanta at the Laughing Skull. So if you're listening to this and you're in Atlanta and you want to come see me do a little bit of time at the Laughing Skull on Tuesday, I'll be there. On Wednesday, we have the Radio Room open mic hosted by Adam Schulte, 8 o'clock. A no cover. On Thursday, we have the Jokes Out Loud comedy show hosted by Brandon Rainwater, Jokes Out Loud. $10 cover there at the Comedy Zone. For those interested, that sign up, it's already happened, but it goes up on every Sunday night at 5 o'clock. Grab a spot because they go fast. And finally, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, D. Ray Davis will be here at the Comedy Zone. 2 shows on Friday at 7 and 9, 2 shows on Saturday at 6 and 9, and 1 show on Sunday at 7 o'clock. Tickets available at greenvillecomedyzone.com. All right, that is it for local comedy. Hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope you enjoy my interview with Rory. Here it is. Rory O'Connor.
Bonjour, David.
Oh my
Moi content fait sous connaissance.
Dude, you're so weird.
Yeah, man, I just had to say
Is
some
that
weird
French?
It's dirty French. It's Creole.
Oh, you can speak Creole? Have you been to Haiti before?
I've never been to Haiti, but as a white man, I think I need to find a way to prove I'm not racist, and I love the Haitian culture.
Dude, you are the quirkiest dude ever.
I know, right?
Wait, so you just know Creole?
Yeah, last May, I was just bored because I didn't have a good creative outlet like comedy has now since given me, and I'm just I need to start learning languages because great people know languages, and so I decided to learn one that's borderline useless in the modern world because it would just be
chose Creole.
Well, I was I heard it spoken once, and I was just that's just the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. So I was I got some time to kill. It's summer vacation.
Oh my gosh.
I'll learn it on the side. And I did it once at Comedy Zone. I one of the nights I did really well, I spoke Creole on stage. I don't know if you were there for
I don't remember this.
Yeah,
was it a brief part of your set, or
it lasted for about 20 seconds because there was a lady in the audience that shouted at me in Creole because I called out a dude as looking like a Haitian musician who was there with his mambo, which is like a voodoo priestess. And
Mambo
the joke
5.
landed so well, they barked at me in Creole. I was just I've never had such an amazing trigger to follow down a strange path.
Wait, so was the audience member heckling you in Creole?
It was,
was she,
just a
happy
cheer.
with you?
She was happy.
Oh, she was happy.
Yeah,
okay.
And I was just I'm going to dive on this, and every white person in the room looked mortified.
Yeah.
Because I was speaking a voodoo tongue on stage, looking like this.
Yeah.
The 6'2" glass
It's not
of water.
just voodoo, right?
Well,
because
no,
the native people of Haiti also speak Creole.
Well, that's the national language.
Right.
But if it's the national language and the national religion, you can pretty closely associate the two.
Okay. So
I just think it's fascinating. They're just a really cool people.
It is fascinating.
They
really
are
cool people. I went on a mission trip to Haiti once.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't want to let go of the fact how weird it is that you picked a language. That is an eccentric
Well, it's
thing
not
to do.
it's the last one I want to do.
Okay.
I kind of want to do Russian next, but I might do Afrikaans because I have some Dutch relatives in South Africa and Namibia.
Okay.
And I would love to go to Namibia.
Where's that? That's in Africa?
So South Africa, right?
Yeah.
The one right next to that.
Okay.
Where the Dutch used to be there. And then the British were
So
what if we killed you?
So South Africa is predominantly white population.
Very mixed.
That country, or it's mixed as well. Okay, I don't even know. I've never been to South Africa. So that country is also a mixed...
Yeah.
There's still a lot of Dutch people there?
I just love cultural fusions.
Yeah.
Because Haiti's like that. South Africa is like that.
Yeah.
And Namibia is kind of the same thing. I mean, they predominantly speak... Afrikaans is just dirty German or dirty Dutch in the same way that Creole is just dirty French.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I know a little bit about the history of Haiti because, when we went there, not surprisingly, it was a mission trip. A lot of mission trips go to Haiti. I think more missionaries go to Haiti than almost anywhere else. And
It's, I mean, especially
it is a
now,
rough
yeah.
place. I mean, they have a rough time because there's no infrastructure, no stable government,
Yeah.
no, and when you don't have that, like the people can't, like, there's no planning for the future because everything's so unstable and crime is so high that it's very hard to build any wealth or accumulate anything.
Well,
So-
there's the instability politically, and then there's the fact that the ground is literally unstable because
True.
they have a litany of exceptionally high magnitude earthquakes.
Yeah.
7.2 back in 2010.
Yeah,
killed
that was
280,000 people, displaced like 1.5 million. Another one this summer, the same magnitude, but like it's not talked about because we've got a lot going on. But still, like,
Yeah.
so I'm just like, that place is cool. I'd like to go there.
Yeah.
But-
and the reason Creole, right? It was a French colony, a
Yep.
slave colony, and the slaves overthrew the French,
Yeah,
and then
formed a republic.
yeah,
My main man Toussaint Louverture,
dude,
the king, not king. He just kind of made it happen. They actually imprisoned and killed him, which is kind of not king shit, but like,
dude, you are a nerd.
yeah, I'm a
impressed.
history nerd. I'm not
You're
like
a
a Star
history
Wars
buff?
nerd. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I like that too. but
that's
yeah.
really cool. So Rory is in college. He is the youngest guest we've had on so far.
By a narrow margin.
Hayden
Is 1 month older than me.
Hayden's 1 month older than
because
you.
he had his Halloween show, and then my birthday was 1 week ago
That's
today.
right. That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
Happy Martin Luther King Day, everyone.
When
Or
was-
whenever this gets seen.
Wait, when is Martin Luther King Day?
Mid-January.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But my birthday is December 7th. So the filming
Your birthday
of this
is
is a week
your,
since.
your birthday's on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. There's not anything like you'd think that I should write a joke about that. I either have not come up with it yet or it's really not as
Yeah, I
significant
don't
as you
know.
might
My
think.
little
I
brother's
don't know.
birthday is on 9/11, and my cousin is also on 9/11. It doesn't seem like Pearl Harbor is a significant enough event in recent history to like affect your birthday.
Nor is everyone's gonna be like, dude, that Pearl Harbor joke was so fucking funny. Like,
Dude, a Pearl Harbor joke could be funny.
it could be. I'm not gonna bash that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a Pearl Harbor joke one day. I'm gonna go back and watch this. It's just like this fucking kid.
Dude, it's unique. I think anything unique is worth going after.
I mean, you have to be unique, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the unspoken rule is you don't take other people's shit.
Well, yeah, you definitely.
You know what, about that, actually, have you noticed that like people in the outside world, at least in my experience, have like no concept of that rule?
In what
All right,
sense?
maybe I'm putting it on blast too much. Like I get sent multiple times a week things by friends and family that they're like, you should totally do this on stage. And I was just like, that's absolutely not how it works.
Do they send you memes or something?
like literal clips?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, I've told you.
I've had that before where people will like send a meme and be like, "Oh, this is funny. You should say this." Yeah, yeah.
I get
And
sent
they're
to TikTok
but I didn't think of it.
of a 20-second clip, and it's like, you would do great with this on stage. And it's just like, that's completely defeating the point of how hard this is.
Yeah, yeah. I've had people send premises before of like, "Hey, what about this?" And then I've tried it and then it doesn't work.
The premise thing is different.
If it's something that happened to them, or maybe something that's like not like a meme or some sort of other person's material, but
Is there a nice way to tell people that the premises they feed you are just like not something you want to explore? Because almost every day at work, people give me premises.
Really?
And on occasion, I've done the cookout milkshake joke started as a workplace talk. And that's like my best closer right now.
Remind me how the cookout milkshake joke goes.
It's like you withhold the straw, you give her a spoon, and you record notes. You're just like, is she capable of drinking it? Does she lick the cup?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
I just
yeah.
act out like
And
the
it's
whole
it's
list.
it's like puns.
It's
for,
very paced. Yes, it's
for fellatio.
it is. That I haven't described it as that, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
It's a double entendre.
double entendre.
But like someone will be like, I had this great cool thing happen to me. You should try it. And I'm just like, dude, I love that you're sharing your experience with me, but like I didn't go to that concert and see that happen, and I don't really know if that's my life experience to tell. Like
it didn't. Oh, somebody else's.
someone else is just like, man, I've got this idea. You should totally do it on stage. And I'm just like, I love the energy you're giving me because you're supporting me, and I deeply appreciate that. But at the same time, is there a nice way to tell you that I really just will never do something with that?
I just don't say anything. Just be like, yeah, cool, maybe.
Yeah, that's how I play it right now.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, dude. I actually love when people are like engaged in talking about it, because then it's like, okay, they actually care. Half the time I feel like people in my life don't necessarily care about it.
Tell me a joke. You do comedy. Tell me a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I had a buddy tell me about a joke idea yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago. And tell me if you think this is a funny idea.
Okay.
So he is a fisherman, and he went to a restaurant where like you bring your own catch. And it was like a seafood restaurant.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. And he said, what if you applied that same idea to a Chinese restaurant? And we go to the Humane Society and pick up like all of the stray cats that nobody wants and bring it to a Chinese restaurant and say, hey, I'm going to make my own.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. Book your own restaurant, but you bring your food from the Humane Society.
Yeah. I mean, that could work. I mean, I feel like
I think it's a decently funny idea.
If you say at gunpoint, Theo Vaughn, make this funny, he's gonna kill with it, you know. But like,
you think? You know, Theo Vaughn. I like Theo Vaughn, but I heard a lot of people didn't really like his new special.
I haven't personally seen it, but I just know he's one of those dudes that is just like a vocabulary master that I feel like could spin anything into being really funny. I don't know, just something about his word choice. Like I love comics that like take sentences and phrases that would otherwise not be immediately funny and turn it into something funny just by the
way they say it.
You know, like the lens they cast over it.
Yeah, and
He's
I'd say his lens is definitely like Southern boy, like.
Yeah,
that's why I was surprised that you complimented his vocabulary, because I feel like the vibe he gives off is very like, you know, aw shucks, I don't know anything.
It's
kind
swamp people vibe, because he's literally from the swamp of Louisiana, if I'm correct. But I think that actually kind of enhances it, because he's very well spoken. And I don't know, I was watching his stuff last night and I was like, damn, he's got a way with words.
Yeah.
I'm not the sharpest bowl in the bowl drawer. Like
that's what he said.
Yeah, that's something he said. Like
he said, "I'm not the sharp."
That's just so odd. I love that.
He said, "I'm not the sharpest bowl."
Maybe it's not sharpest, but like
no. That's funny. I'm just clarifying. He said, "I'm not the sharpest bowl in the bowl drawer."
That's something I remember from. I watched all of. It's, it was this show on Comedy Central called This Is Not Happening. I've watched all of that multiple times.
Yeah, that's Ari Shafir's show.
Ari Shafir, one of my favorites of all time.
Saying like I know him. No, but that's a good show.
Yeah. And he had a set on there where he said that. I'm
not the sharpest bowl in the bowl drawer.
Something like that.
That's kind of funny for the same reason. Have you ever seen Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah.
That's a great show. And I think Ricky is his name, the main character. He always says these like weird non sequitur sayings and they're like Rickyisms. And one of the ones is like, what do you think I am? In a rocket surgeon? I'm not. Like he like mixes things up.
Yeah, I like those non sequiturs. I think there's like always a weird, minute, small way you could punch up a sentence. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like with small changes in language that just kind of like shift the norm of how that would kind of usually come out.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like doing that.
I've tried incorporating that.
I like doing that with profanity.
Yeah. Like alternative profanity or just misplacing it.
Like, I mean, it's awful what I say. I don't know if I like.
You have a couple bits.
Shit out of my. No, I'll say this in conversation, not on stage. But I'll just be like, shit out of my father's ass. Like.
Oh, that's one of those classic. David just got off stage and he's not willing to admit that he did great.
No,
dude, man,
dude. I say dude a lot. I don't know. I got a lot of crap in college for saying dude all the time. People would make fun of me. They'd be like, yeah, well. I don't know. It was kind of good natured, but it was also kind of like you're an ass.
But how much does a football player normally say it, and how much above the line did you go?
I probably said it a lot. I was kind of manic, like I am now. Like, dude. Be like, Dave always says dude, and I'd be like,
dude, why?
And I kind of got to a point where I was like, guys, if you keep saying this, I'm
gonna lose it.
I'm gonna lose it. Yeah. I'm gonna, yeah. No, but so you're in college, dude.
I'm a young lad.
21. So you're a junior?
Yes, I'm a third year. I'm in a 5-year program, so it all kind of works out strangely.
I want to go through all of this. So you're studying. I know I've asked you this before, but I want to go back. So you're studying what? What's your
mechanical engineering?
Mechanical engineering. Yeah, you strike me as an engineer. Somebody who picks up Creole for the fun of it.
Yeah, I just get obsessed with things that I find fascinating. Like that, you know. That's kind of why I like history so much. I'm like, I have to study this topic.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So engineering. So like, what are you gonna end up being an engineer? Like, what are you gonna be designing? Airplanes?
Well, the thing about mechanical is it's
engines?
literally like so overarching of what you could be describing, because mechanical is just like an engineer that makes machines,
Okay.
and machines are everything.
Yeah.
So you could go into many different fields of that. I mean, right now, the whole reason I'm here is I'm working for the car manufacturers out in this part of the country right now.
Okay. You work for BMW?
I work for a supplier of BMW
Mm-hmm.
because, those cars, a lot of stuff goes into it.
Yeah.
Crazy amount of man hours goes into it.
Yeah.
And so right now it's automotive because I just want to explore,
Okay.
because there's so many fields I could go into, and I need 48 weeks of internship experience to even get my degree.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's kind of like a rite of passage. The end of your second year, they throw you out and they say, come back after you finished an internship.
Okay.
It's like being kicked out of the tribe.
Yeah.
So I'm a victorious Navajo coming back in the spring from my conquest down here in South Carolina.
Yeah. And not only did you
Being-
do engineering, you did stand up as well.
Yeah, I'm at least very impassioned with one of those two things, and comedy is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You like
yeah.
engineering too, though?
I really do. It's just you got to reconcile how much I like the passion and the theory behind it with like how that applies to a workplace.
Right.
Because I'm not
Because
I'm not-
what you're actually working on might be a little bit boring compared
I won't
to
say
like,
that.
the
No,
theory.
I quite like what I work on. It's just being in an office is just something. Maybe I haven't grown up enough to be like cool with that.
Are you in an office now for your internship?
Yeah.
Okay. Are people social in the office?
Yes, but I am oddly antisocial.
Really?
Like, I'm usually, as far as a quirky engineer who, the weird shit I've already said on this podcast should speak for itself. As quirky as I am, I'm usually pretty much a social butterfly. I mean, comedy, you got to have some kind of guts usually to even attempt that. And I like talking to all the comedians.
Yeah.
And even at school, like, I'm even in a fraternity and stuff. Like, I'm one of those guys. But
You're in a fraternity?
Yeah.
Nice.
But like,
You kind of look like a frat guy.
yeah. Well, after I
I
lost
feel
the
like
weight,
with the shirt that you got on, you I don't know. I could see you in like a Animal House or something. like I could
Yeah.
see you back in time.
Yeah.
As a frat guy.
I agree with that. Animal House is funny. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So usually I'm pretty outgoing because I just love talking to people, love gathering experience, and I like cracking jokes. I like making people laugh. But at the office, I'm just like very antisocial.
Yeah.
I
You
can-
just kind of put your head down and do your work.
I'm just like I just do, and I'm usually a very hard worker. Like I usually focus on things pretty well. So like I'm just in the zone.
Yeah.
And but I'm not gonna act like that's an excuse for me just like kind of brushing past people and
Yeah.
not saying hi. And
What's your GPA?
3.8.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Hell yeah, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
awesome. You're setting yourself up for a great little run here. What college you go to?
RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, which
Okay.
means that where I should be right now, it is extremely cold and snowy.
Yeah.
Which
Kinda
is
nice-
wonderful
kinda
because
nice you're down here.
Here in Greenville, it was a beautiful 70 degrees today, walking around on the work campus with my short sleeve shirt and just like, I could get used to this.
Yeah, dude.
And yet I won't.
Where do you think you want to end up? Do you think after your college experience you want to end up down here, or you want to end up?
These last 4 months have shaken up pretty much every preconceived notion of what I thought I really kind of wanted to end up doing, because now I'm doing comedy and like,
Yeah.
I feel like I have an immense ability to appreciate both. But say I am an engineer for X amount of years to build up a nest egg, and then I kind of flip the switch,
Yeah.
and then to say I've been doing this for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Time to hit the road. Something like that,
Well, that's awesome. And first of all, I should say, like, I'm so jealous that you started when you did. Like, at your age, 21, you'll have the ability.
There's advantages and disadvantages.
What's the disadvantages?
I'm trying to be nice. The disadvantage is that I feel like I draw upon a smaller pool of experience.
Yeah. That's
Right.
okay.
It is okay. No, it's not like I'm complaining. I love that I started when I did, because I'm like, why didn't I start sooner? It's like I was in a diaper, like,
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's your first takeaway is actually a good sign, because you're like self-aware about that.
I try.
Because like most of the time, the audience members are going to be older than you.
That's the hard part.
And they might be thinking, who's this little punk talking to me about whatever?
I think that's the actual biggest downside that I've noticed that I forgot to mention is that I have to be very careful about what I write and what I say in so far that I need to specifically aim to connect with people one or more generations above me.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually very funny to people my age because I'm very in that culture. But when I'm like, I have to go on stage and I have to very intentionally be funny for people all the way up to like their 50s, you know, maybe the median is like the 40s because you get a pretty, like somewhere like the Comedy Zone, you're not getting a whole lot of people my age.
Right.
So I can't design my sets around young people stuff. And we're talking about social media. We're talking about memes. We're talking about the internet culture.
Yeah, you're talking about Creole.
Yeah, well, that actually
Nobody knows about that.
No, the one time it worked.
That's the luckiest.
One time it
That's
worked.
the luckiest shit ever.
I'm never getting that
Creole
experience
in the audience.
again.
No, that's cool, dude. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, but just designing stuff to make people older than me funny. I've had to like rehearse pop culture, you know, and like, cause like I like, you know, the occasional reference like this is like this.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got to dig back a little bit.
Yeah, it's fun to write smart though. Like write how you want to write, and you know, there's some really good stuff.
Writing's great. Like, you know, the only path I see for myself, you know, I'm young, so this might change. The only path I see for myself where I don't do comedy for as long as I humanly can is that if I just decide to write instead. Yeah. Because I love writing and reading as well. But like, I think I'm a strong writer and I need to find a way to make that work on stage. That's just me trying to self-analyze because I'm good with words and stuff. But like I've not had, you know, I've never had an experience where I've been on stage before this. You know, I gotta like find a way to kind of.
This is your first public speaking thing ever?
Well, I wouldn't say that because I have worked as a teacher before, and that's public speaking. Like, can't act like that's not public speaking. Over the summers, I've moved to cities to teach computer science courses to kids. Okay. And like even this last one, I did a teen leadership program for kids in Philly. Which is an area where some teens really need some leadership. But that's public speaking. I mean, that's write your stuff out, have a plan, go in, be mindful of your time, know the attention, read the audience, engage with them. Right. You can't only do crowd work when you're teaching because you're not teaching anything, but you can't just stand there and just because then you're just an old boring college professor.
Yeah, I guess it's different.
So there's actually a lot of parallels there.
There are, I think.
There's a lot of comedians that were teachers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, like who?
Like here, is it Dante?
Dante was a teacher?
Yeah, he was a teacher. He got fired, but then he started working at my job, which was the weirdest moment ever. That was awesome. When I was like, is that Dante Anderson?
Oh my gosh.
And then he told the story on stage. He's like, why is this weird white guy creeping around me? And it was just me like kind of waddling my way over. It's like, hey, Dante.
Oh, so you did that at a mic after you found out that you worked with him, or at work?
In the workplace.
And you're like, oh man. Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit, you work here. It's like, you do too. And then I never saw him again.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't like you.
Well, he also doesn't work there anymore. At least to my knowledge.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, dude. Okay, so I'm trying to track here. So
public speaking.
We talked about how young you are and how that is a big advantage. I think it really is, because you're, you know, I have a little brother that's a couple years older than you, and you know, he still is trying to figure out like what he really loves to do. Yeah. And but he has a good job with a good company. And I told him just keep doing what you're supposed to do at your job and then pursue what you love on the side. Like, right. The most irresponsible thing would be to like, I'm dropping out. Drop out.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to do stand up full time and go. I mean,
there's a parallel universe where I did that.
What's that?
There's a parallel universe where I do that. It's not a great one though.
You're aware of parallel universes?
No, this is like a metaphor. Like this is not. I'm not saying that like there's a portal somewhere that I could step through and see this.
But you could envision that as an alternative.
Yeah, just like there's a Rory out there in the possibilities that like decided I'm staying in Greenville to do comedy, Mom. I'm not coming home. Yeah, you know,
like into like the Spider-Verse. There's multiple.
Yeah, exactly.
Rorys.
I'm very much like that.
Yeah.
There's a Rory that's still 240 pounds and eating glue, you know?
Yeah, I want to talk about that. We got to talk about the fasting thing in a bit. But, you absolutely should have a day job until you can either afford to just not, or or you get to a point in comedy where it's like really makes sense. But
well, this is about self-awareness too, right? I understand that I won't be something that you could consider good for like 7 to 10 years.
Yeah,
it is my impression.
That's what they say.
That's what they say, and I'm very inclined to believe them.
Yeah,
but that's how long it takes to be like, all right, you can pass somewhere, and then it's just like, all right, how do I make that time count?
Yeah, because
until I find something that I really enjoy as much as being on stage, writing the material, that like heart-crushing pressure, and then the payoff, man. That's all I got to plan for right now, other than, completing my education and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're someone that seems like they found it and it's just like, oh my God, I needed this. Right?
Yeah. That's how I feel. I feel like I was so miserable before, and now it's like, dude, I wish I would have found this. Like,
I just think I didn't realize that I needed a creative outlet, that I was like bursting at the seams for some opportunity where I can just spill my brain and then focus it,
Yeah, absolutely. Did you, as a kid, did you have anything that you did creatively?
Well, I've done music, but I've never like made anything original.
Yeah, do you play saxophone?
I've played saxophone.
I saw that on your Facebook.
Yeah. Because, more quirky stuff. Saxophone, piano. I have a guitar collection, though I cannot play them in any way, shape, or form. Though that is a long-term goal of mine, is to learn to play those damn guitars.
Yeah. A lot of people have that.
That's a personal
lot
mission.
of frat boys get an acoustic guitar and think it's going to get them girls, and then they learn like Wonderwall, and then they don't know anything else.
Wonderwall will only get you guys these days.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
yeah, I've got all kinds of them, and it was just like, someday I'm gonna climb that hill.
Yeah.
That's absolutely one of them.
So yeah, dude, it's weird to me that stand up takes so long to get good at. It's like a really weird thing to where like you can keep going without like hating yourself. Because if you know you're bad early, like why would you even keep doing it? Like I can't even think of a metaphor of anything else where it's like that. Like, because with other stuff, you're at least young. Like if you suck at football, but you're in third grade, you're in third grade.
Yeah.
But if you suck at stand up and you're 30 something, it's like, dude,
30 something. That's
kill yourself.
Do something else instead, right? But like,
it's like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like if you're a child, it's normal. Stand-up's different in that if you start later, like there's no fast tracking it. So like if you're an old person that's not good at it, it's like, well, there should be something. But
I think, I mean, what would you say to it? That hypothetical old person is just like, give up, dude. Just kill yourself.
No,
like, that's horrible.
Nobody would tell him. So
but also like, you don't need to be in peak athletic shape to do comedy. Like,
right. So
like comedy is one of those life begins at 50 kind of things where it's like you could absolutely like look at someone like Ron White who like started late in his life and now has like one of the tightest 3 to 5 minutes I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Like if someone told him when he started that he was too old, the world wouldn't have.
Yeah, and I'm not saying.
Officer, I'm sorry, I don't think your device is calibrated bit where he's trying to avoid getting a DU. Like the world wouldn't have his comedy if someone told him not to do that.
Right, no, exactly. I mean, it's just weird that people can get over that hump of like self-doubt and self-hatred of like, Well,
in the performative arts, you get so much of that, don't you? Like I feel like across a lot of them, especially stand-up.
You get a lot of
that like, what am I doing?
Self-doubt, yeah. Yeah, it's good to overcome it. In fact, like stand-up, I think, is like the whole exercise of saying, F it, I don't care. Like, I'll just push through this. Like, it's always that. It's always like, I'll push through this hard thing. I'll do it anyway. I'll show up when I don't feel like it.
That's the biggest.
Screw how old I am. Screw any disadvantage I have. Like, if you're like us, you're like, oh, we're straight white men and everybody thinks we have it great. But, or people shit on you, like cancel culture, all that. If you're something else, you're like, oh, I'm a token, this or that. Or there's always something that you could like use as an excuse.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about stand-up is it's like you say, F it, it's comedy. We're doing it.
The mind is so brutal, and like it finds those weird ways to be like to justify you not doing something that's going to benefit you like that. Where you like
it'll give you
you rationalize.
it'll produce every single excuse in the book.
Like I've made the most ridiculous rationalizations as why I shouldn't go out and do. It's just like, well, if you don't go out tonight, you'll be better rested tomorrow, and tomorrow you want to do this, and it's just like, well, also, you know,
how do you respond to that? Do you usually say like, screw it, I'm going anyway?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna act like I haven't lost to it.
You've lost to
I
it?
would say a majority of the time, you either got to seek an alternative viewpoint or you just say, I'm not listening.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting in my car.
The more
once I'm out of this parking lot, there is turning back, but there's no turning back.
Right. You do that. You do those little tricks in your mind.
Yeah. I feel like there's also a moment where you cave to it once and you either take that as an advantage to be like, I never want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
Because I've already had times. There was one that I haven't shared this yet. One of the times I drove out to a venue and then I just didn't go in and drove home.
Which venue?
Oh God, this is gonna break my damn heart. Remember the bar, the
Chris's bar?
Chris's mic.
Yeah.
It was like my second week I was doing comedy. I was told, oh, you should go out there, and I drove there and I sat in the car and I was like, if I see one person I know go in, I'll go in, and I didn't. Which ended up not being true because when I got home, I looked at your Instagram story and you were 100% there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm leaving. And I got home. I was like, this feeling, remember this, because you never want to feel like this
Dude,
again.
that's interesting.
Where you just spent that much money on gas just to try and find ways to rationalize preventing your own path to like happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, dude. It's so interesting, man. I really appreciate that story. That is...
Like, I literally got home and I opened up your Instagram and I was like, motherfucker, he's there with Bill. And these are the two dudes I would love to spend my Sunday night with right now. And I am sitting at home.
I'm sorry, that's your Sunday night.
I'm sitting at home now with no other plan lined up.
Yeah, you were a real piece of shit.
I absolutely was. Chris, I'm sorry. I love you, man. Yeah. So that's
dude,
I never want to feel like that again.
No, it happens. But that's funny, dude. That's
But you could also just do that once and then do that a bunch of times, then just stop coming out entirely.
Right, but the fact that you remembered how it felt and everything.
Well, it's the same thing as like you work out and then you have those days you skip the gym and there's no good reason you did it, and you're just like, oh, if you forget this feeling, you're gonna start going down a bad road.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna stop entirely.
Yeah. I remember one time there was a couple of times. Early. One time at Comedy Zone, this was before they had online signups, and I just had this fatigue about going, and I didn't have new material, and it was like the same group of people, and I showed up a little bit late, and I didn't get on the list, and then I think I ended up just leaving, and I drove to Atlanta with another comic and just watched comedy that night. So I was like, I'm not performing, but I'm watching comedy.
You drove to Atlanta just to watch open mics?
No, it was a comedy club. It was another comic that needed a ride, and I was like, yeah, sure, screw it, I'll go. And I would rather do that, like literally go to Atlanta, than do what I should have done, which was go get my ass up there and perform.
Right.
And it's kind of like the same story. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible story of Jonah.
I was raised Christian too.
Yeah.
Catholic, Roman Catholic, Irish Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jonah and the whale.
The lesson of that story is broad and applicable to anything. Like, it's not just about, literally, I think he was supposed to go to Nineveh and preach.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to. So he left. And he went the exact opposite direction.
Right.
And then, like, the storm came, and then they threw him overboard because he knew God was sending the storm.
Yeah.
And he got consumed by the fish. The fish spit him out, and then he went to Nineveh like he was supposed to. But it's like the same thing. If there's something you're supposed to be doing and you avoid it, you kind of are going off into your own hell.
Yeah.
And you'll be tortured. Like, I think that's even symbolic of hell, like under the water in the belly of the whale, like you're down into the underworld. Like,
there's a million great parallels there.
And then you come out. That's like a resurrection moment when you come out and like you're going back.
It's that triumphant moment
you're supposed to do, but you still don't want to do it. But you're like, this is what you're called to do, and people know that. People know like things they're supposed to do, and they don't do them. So that can apply to anything. So yeah, it
could literally apply to
not
anything.
going to Chris's mic is the same. It very similar.
That
to
was a
your
Jonah and the whale.
Jonah and the whale moment.
Right.
I think so. And yeah, I think it's probably like how you respond to that tells you if you like really actually want to do it or not.
Yeah, it's
'Cause some
kind of like
people
when
never
you
come
say,
back.
I've had times, this is kind of my weird mechanism to deal with this, is just like, all right, I'm going to take this coin, I'm going to flip it. And heads I go, tails I don't. Like, I've done this with a bunch of social situations.
Really?
And I'll flip it. And I will always, and whatever side it lands on is completely arbitrary because I'm going to lean slightly towards one than the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, heads I go, tails I don't. It lands on tails. I'm like, I should go. And then I go.
Have you ever seen The Grinch?
Yeah.
Remember when he's debating whether to go to the party? And he's like,
Jim Carrey
all
Grinch?
right, I've made my decision. I'm going. And that's that. Oop, I had my fingers crossed.
Ooh. Oh, that
He's
movie's a treasure.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, dude, I remember playing tricks on myself like that.
Yeah.
It's weird too.
It's all
like,
about
'cause I feel
learning to
like-
develop willpower, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like with procrastination and avoiding responsibilities and stuff, it gets worse. And this is also all psychological stuff that Jordan
Mm-hmm.
Peterson talks about, who I
Yep.
swear I mention in every podcast. But
Just
it's like,
about.
the thing you ignore like becomes like this, it gets bigger and harder to conquer, like the more you
Yeah.
avoid it. Like the more mics you skip in a row, the harder it's going to be to come out to that one. The more you like come out every time, the more you whack-a-mole it to
Yeah.
where the scariness gets littler and littler.
Right.
So then every time you come out, and you can never stop, which is the crazy thing.
Slippery slope. Slippery slopes are insanely real.
Yeah.
They're insanely real.
Do you feel like that's, I mean, if you want to do stand-up, you want to do stand-up?
I want to do.
You want to do
I mean,
stand-up.
I do stand up
You
a
do
little
stand-up,
bit, but like I want
if
to
you
do
say
more
you want to
stand-up.
do it, like you basically have to never stop.
You can't lose momentum.
Does that idea scare you? Never stopping? Like
It scares me less than the idea of the alternative.
quitting?
No, the alternative, because what else do you have to never stop, right? You have to never stop like a day job.
Yeah.
You have to never stop
Waking up.
waking up. You know, have to,
Making your bed.
like every day you wake up and think, man, I would rather be doing comedy as a job than another job. Which this is kind of hypothetical because I'm not old enough to have fully decompartmentalized that. But say you have to think about that every day. That's worse than just saying I have to do comedy forever.
Right.
Because you know you get
Yeah.
joy from doing comedy
Yeah.
forever. That's also a personal decision.
Yeah, it's kind of not that bad because you have to be alive every day.
Yeah.
Like just that is
The
kind
weight of mortality is enough.
Dude,
right?
it's a lot, dude.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to be alive.
Yeah.
Like I
It's
had
so
that-
easy to try and drown that out by like dumbing yourself down and just being like, "Oh man."
Yeah, this is why people drink alcohol, dude. I swear. Like
this is why.
because
That's why
I've had
I'm
that thought
completely
before. Like,
sober.
dude, I gotta be alive again.
Yeah.
Like I've been alive since 1988.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's
Like my heart's still beat. Like in a way, like it's you feel young,
Yeah.
and stuff.
But the
it's kind of like
expectation.
you're still a physical thing that's been around that long. It's like, man,
yeah.
whew. It's a
How
long
did you get
road.
this far?
Like how do we? Yeah. So if you gotta be alive, that's already kind of a pain in the ass.
But you might
You
as
might as well do
punch it
stand-up.
up.
You might as
Yeah.
well talk about it. Who cares?
Like inject that time period of you being alive with as much healthy mechanisms
Yeah.
for generating joy as you can.
Yeah, free
asterisk healthy mechanisms.
Free yourself from not giving a shit and express yourself. Speak what's on your mind.
It's that uncertainty that's super killer though, right?
like in a good
Because
way.
like uncertainty and your confidence, these are two things that mix very poorly. It's like milk and vinegar, right? Because like, you know, it's the same thing about not wanting to go out to a mic. It's just like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. That uncertainty. It's just kind of
Mixed
like
with the confidence of
it's like if your confidence is like a goose and the uncertainty is the Gulf oil spill, and you just dip it in that oil, it's just totally muddies it. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know why that's the first thing my mind came to. If something being covered with something is the horrific oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know why.
I think there's a tension between like the anxiety and the fear and the competence
Yeah.
and confidence. And there's
kind of like
always
imposter
that
syndrome.
tension. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
But that's like a good thing.
It's a good thing to not feel like you're great at it, I think.
Yeah. I don't know
be
if imposter
confident,
syndrome.
fake it, but still be humble and self-aware, and always kind of have your head looking
Right.
360 around to see like if you're totally missing something, like if people think I'm an asshole.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. As much as I play up the cocky asshole type for like laughs, 30% of it, because I'm a little bit of an asshole, but like I mostly play it up for laughs. Guys who are just genuinely super full of themselves, like to the core. It's not exclusively guys. I've met all types, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the real people that it's like, man, I really don't want to spend time around this individual. You know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the imposter syndrome, that's like the overarching term, but like that, like, man, I'm not as good as I could be, or I'm not like this person is something like I got to work towards this. Like, that's super healthy, man. Because that gets you up in the morning. That's like, this is something to motivate you when you're like, I'm the shit. That it's a good, when you kill, you should bask in the moment a little bit.
Yeah, you should enjoy it.
Yeah, you should enjoy it, but to drink too deeply in it,
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Whenever I have a
man.
set that I'm happy with, I'm always like nervous. I'm always like, this is too good to be true. A bomb's coming,
it
dude.
decays. The happiness decays when I start rewatching the footage and realizing it could be better.
Yeah. It wasn't as good as I thought.
Now I'm already at a point where I look at stuff from when I started, because I've been filming stuff since I started, because I've known you since I started, and you're a huge advocate for that. Thanks.
No, it's cool, man. I just don't.
No, it's true. It's very helpful. I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ on a bike. Like this is
Jesus Christ on a bike.
Like, I'm just like, I'm a piece of work. Like I'm a home renovation project of comedy. Like you look back, you're just like, yeah, man, that I'm not even. Yeah. I write better than I did then.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been doing it forever, which is it's just probably a comment that's gonna age very poorly. But like,
how many months are you in now?
4
months.
But I feel like maybe because my mind is on it so much that I feel like it's always like
you can't. It's hard to remember a time when you weren't thinking about it.
It's hard to remember a time where when a concept comes in my head, I don't vet it and then write it down in my phone.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I'm just like, that's a cute thought.
Yeah, it's so nice to have something to push those thoughts into.
Yeah, because before those, I would just push those thoughts into Snapchat group chats.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, there's probably like 3 albums worth of hilarious things I've said that have gone to waste throughout my time on this earth.
Yeah.
So.
Gotta write it down.
Gotta focus it. And I already know, like, I've definitely lost good concepts that I just didn't write down. It's like, all right, I'll remember that later.
Yeah.
I never remember it.
Yeah, you gotta write it down on your phone.
Not even once.
Right in that moment.
Yeah. Because that Seinfeld analogy of rats running along the floor.
Yeah.
That's literally exactly how it is.
Yeah, that's what ideas are like. They're like little mice that come in and out of your house, so that you just gotta step on the tail when you see one.
Because I predominantly write about like stories from my life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because most of the comedy I grew up watching was very life story related, so that's just been impressed upon me as like the best things are story comedy. Mm-hmm. And those rats, I was just like, how did I not remember that earlier when I was sitting down at my computer? Like, what do I write?
Yeah.
And then the rat comes along. It's like, this is an amazing story. Like, why did I not write this? Like, Jesus.
Mm. Do you have siblings?
No, I'm an only child.
Only child. Okay. Were you spoiled as a kid?
A little bit.
Okay.
Like, a little. Like, not really, but like a little bit.
Did you have a battery-powered car? Like one of those Tonka, like one of the ones you can drive?
Oh, no.
You did it?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's usually my barometer for if a kid's spoiled or not. If you're a kid that you drove one of those things,
no,
I never got one.
Yeah.
My parents never got me one. But I feel like the friends that I had that were like, those kids are assholes.
Nobody I knew that drove one of those turned out to be a productive member of
society. What are those things called? Power wheels?
No. I don't know.
I think they're called Power Wheels.
I don't know.
I think they are.
Maybe the ones from your era.
Yeah. I shouldn't say this. I don't know if any of my cousins have any Power Wheels.
If any of mine do, they're definitely my least favorite one.
Yeah.
I say that with no confidence. but like, no, I didn't have Power Wheel.
What do your parents think about you doing stand up?
My mom likes it a little too much. As in,
really?
like, I don't want to show her a lot of the stuff I've did. Like, she So I've uploaded one video to YouTube.
Yeah.
Just because my friends back home were just like, dude, we got to see something. Because
What-
I have an amazing network of friends back home
Yeah.
that are super supportive.
That's cool.
And so, I shared that around on like my Snapchat and stuff.
What'd they think?
I loved it.
Loved it.
It's Bob Jones University bit, the one that got me heckled off stage.
Oh.
But the
What
first
about the
time
one
I did
about you at summer camp? Is that on that one?
No, I've only done that once.
Oh,
That
wasn't
was
the
no, it's not me
recording.
at summer camp. It's me at the Christian retreat.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
the funniest shit. When you said that, I was like, "Do you want to say it?"
So that's the story. Can I just do
face
this?
the camera a little bit more? If you swivel over this way, I can't see what you're.
Do it.
Just in general, yeah. There you go.
The one-liner.
No, you just set it up. Do the whole thing.
Okay. Well, because it requires some visual gag.
Not well.
Well, it's just like so you're at a Christian retreat where everyone is sharing their trauma from their childhood, but you also have a crush on the girl that's your like leader. So you're sitting crisscross applesauce, and she goes, "I'm so glad you've had this opportunity to share your scars." And I go, "Yeah, my dad killed himself. Can I eat your pussy?"
Oh my God. I think that might be your best joke.
I've never said it since the first night I did stand up.
Just that punch.
I'm gonna do it again this week though.
That punchline just punches you in the face. Like
Yeah, I like one-liners.
my dad killed himself. Can I eat your pussy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't condone it, but I'm just
No,
kidding.
it didn't actually go that way, but it didn't work out. It went poorly, but yeah, that was when because that was my first set ever. That was my first time up.
Yeah,
and,
that was
and
really
I
great.
I've never done that bit since, but it is
I laughed
probably,
out loud sincerely, really hard at that, and that was.
And for a guy that laughs out loud the amount you do, I truly honor that.
Well,
I mean,
I laughed at a lot of stuff, but that was like I laughed at the joke really hard, like because a lot of times I'll laugh if something doesn't work or like
Well, the backstory is not of the joke, but of the circumstance is like I showed up to Comedy Zone to watch, and I get up there.
Wait, so you were planning on going up that night?
Well, I didn't sign up. I had no idea what was going on. That was the week I moved to Greenville.
Okay.
I was like, this is my opportunity to reinvent myself. This is my opportunity to start comedy in a brand new place. Like, I can't waste this opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I have to start now.
Yeah, so actually, let me back up. So your first time on stage, you said it was your first time in Greenville.
That was my first time ever on
so
stage.
like what attracted you to stand up though? Because you had said you'd never really had a major creative outlet before. You had music.
I mean, I had, and I would always like. I like
So why
writing
stand
too,
up?
like not comedy writing a bit too, but like. So what attracted me to stand up is that I was a fan of it. Like when I was 14, 15, 16, I started getting really attached to listening to it on the radio. Because there was the comedy channel in Sirius XM. There's two of them. And whenever my mom wasn't in the car, this is actually a bit I'm working on because there's another component to this. But basically, whenever your mom's not in the car, you put on a radio station you wouldn't otherwise be allowed to listen to. Originally, that was something on Sirius XM that no longer exists called Sex Radio.
Okay.
Which
I don't
was
know
just,
this channel.
Which was just like a dirty, filthy radio channel for my 14. It doesn't exist anymore.
Wait, was it like the sounds of sex? Was it like
it was just like porn stars talking, and I was like I was like 14
Like
and
Howard
I had never
Stern
seen
stuff.
porn. I had no experience. I had no idea what sex was because Catholicism had never gotten the talk or anything. I was like, what is this?
Oh my god.
This is hearing, like,
Yeah.
this is not even this porn for the blind, right?
Yeah.
But then that got shut down. So I'm like, what's the next thing that I can listen to? And like the channel next to it was comedy. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I like laughing.
Yeah.
I like when people say funny things.
What stand-up comics were on that channel that you remember?
God, I mean, so there's a lot of guys. There's like two groups for me. It's like guys that were on the come up that are like more established now, and then guys that were established then and are legends now. Right.
Okay.
So like when you think of like the legends category, that's like the Joey Diaz, the Ari Shaffir's always been one of my favorites. Artie Lang, Louis Anderson. I love Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson. It's freaking
Yeah.
that guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah, and there's those guys, but there's a lot of younger comics that have come up and like started getting featured around that time on there that I like love.
Do you remember the younger comics names?
Yeah, so you've got so Theo Von's kind of in the older category of that. Let's see. So Cy Amundsen was a guy I liked a lot. Was it not Tom Papa? I like Tom Papa. I'm thinking of Fahim Anwar is probably my favorite young comic right now.
I don't think I know him.
Yeah, he's really I really like him. He's my favorite comic right now because he is a mechanical engineer who worked in like the aerospace industry while doing stand up in Seattle, where I'm from. And then he's like, fuck it, I'm quitting my job and doing stand up, and it worked out for him, and he's like,
that's your path, dude. That's your
So
blueprint.
I look at this dude and I'm like, that's literally like if there's like
what ethnicity is he? Is he Indian?
He is Afghani.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. I didn't know by the name.
Yeah. So he's like he's a big inspiration to me.
Okay.
I like him a lot. He's the reason that I would like dance a little bit on stage, because his thing was he would go up on stage and dance for like a minute before picking up the mic.
Yeah.
But he was really good at it. He's not like 30 or something.
I forget that you dance sometimes you go up there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I get expressive.
Yeah.
But I don't really do it anymore because Bill told me to stop.
Why are you listening to Bill? What did Bill?
I don't know.
No offense, Bill. What?
He's like, cut it out of your act.
Why did he say that? Did he give a reason?
He's like, you either go one way or the other. You either lean into it 100% and start sweating, or you don't do it.
And I was like, honestly, I really don't want to sweat up there right now.
Well,
I don't know. If I'm trying to build a brand, that's not it. I'm not trying to steal.
Well, if you're listening to Bill on music advice, I don't know if that's a good idea. Bill's the worst DJ in the history of.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Sorry,
That's true.
Bill, if you listen to this. I got real frustrated.
That's technical.
I got frustrated with his DJing abilities the past couple of weeks, because he does this thing where he's like, all right, he didn't have music playing. The show's about to start. It's like or like he turns off the music, so the music is just quiet, and then he's like, all right, Greenville, are you ready for a comedy show? And everybody's like, what? And then
he has these weird cameos where he'll like bring someone up out of the blue. It's like, oh my god, it's a Bill cameo.
And then he tried to turn the music on, and then it like there was an ad playing, and then it didn't go until Jazz was all the way on stage. I was like, dude, that could not have been a worse start to a show. I'm like, dude, you want to hit that show.
To quote Bill,
it's unprofessional.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
no,
I
he's
love
fine,
younger
but
comics.
like DJing's hard. Like I've made mistakes on the DJ thing.
Well, you've also expressed your disinterest with hosting.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't mind hosting. I'll do it. But yeah, I'd much rather just do a set after the show's already kind of going, because hosting's just a thankless job. You're never gonna kill that hard. You might, and even if you do kill hard, sometimes they don't want you to kill hard. They want you to just, ease into the show. And,
yeah.
So.
But like when a host has done good things, like I can really appreciate.
Oh
it.
yeah, they're appreciated.
Like I appreciate the crowd. I remember just a few weeks ago, I had to follow at Comedy Zone a dude who just like had never been up and got on stage drunk and rambled for 7 minutes. So we went like 5 minutes overtime, and they were trying to get him off stage, but they played the music, and he didn't get off stage when they played the music. He just started dancing and singing, which is like, because think of everything you have in your arsenal to get someone off stage when they go overtime. They tried the lights. They tried getting closer with the lights. But they decided, all right, we're playing the music. And he's like, oh, I love music. And he just starts dancing and singing. They're like,
yeah.
What do we
I
do?
kind of wonder how bad it's ever gotten in any stand-up situation ever, like where you couldn't get him off the stage. Like, have they ever had to like call the friggin' cops?
That's definitely happened somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't say here. Definitely not while I've been here. But
probably New Jersey.
It would happen in New Jersey in a heartbeat. When I do comedy there, I'm afraid for my life. But like, what I'm saying is the audience was dead because they just watched a dude stood on stage and drunk ramble for 7 minutes, and then bless his heart,
that'll kill an audience.
It was Jalen was hosting that night, and he went up and he he like defibrillated the audience, just like revived them, just back to life.
How
And
did
I was
Jalen
up
do it? He
next.
went up, right? Afterwards?
No, he well, as the host, he's like, we need to inject some adrenaline in this situation because
Yeah.
we've completely lost the audience.
But he wasn't, he was back in the DJ booth the whole show, right? And then he came up in
and
between.
he was like, this is an emergency. I need to go up right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
do comedy for 3 minutes, and then introduce Rory.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the shit out of that.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I did well, and I think I would have done worse had there been a captive audience.
You can always go up and address it. Because I feel like
I
sometimes
could.
the audience will be like, okay, a drunken idiot was just on.
Yeah.
This guy seems like he knows what he's doing, kind of. And then, it's like a fresh, like, I don't mind going up after somebody who bombs because, like, okay, I could do better than that. Like,
Right.
or if somebody kills, you can kind of, if somebody kills before you, it's great too because then you can, like, play off theirs, like, make a comment about their set, like, in a complimentary way, like the audience obviously loved them, so you like say you make some kind of little joke about it,
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the big lessons that I went into it knowing, because I've been listening to podcasts by comedians for so long, is like is like you need to not be jealous of envious of other comics. You need to not look down on them. You just need to be like, all right, we're all here to do our thing.
Yeah, be gracious
Be
and
gracious,
be fun. Be excited
yes.
that the room's hot. Don't
Never
feel like
be
you gotta
envious.
one up them. That'll
Yeah.
be about. You don't.
Like-
It's not a competition.
The word, and if you like Jordan Peterson, you've heard this, compersion, right?
I've not heard that word.
Okay.
Compersion?
Yeah, it's like compassion's sister word. It's like
You sure this is a real word, Rory?
compersion is a real word. I'm pretty sure. It's when you feel genuinely like joyous on behalf of another person's accomplishment.
Okay.
That's the word for it.
Compassion combined with what?
It's not. No, it's like I don't think it's combined with anything. I don't think I just stitched together two words. Like I think this is a real
I think
thing.
you're making this up still.
I very well could be, but anyway, what I'm trying to shorten having to say. When other comics do well, you should feel good. You should be like, "Hey,
Sincerely
man, that
happy
did
for
great." You
them.
should feel sincerely. You shouldn't be like harboring deep-seated feelings of just like motherfucker.
I've gotten afraid before. I've been like, oh shit.
I've quivered
How
in my
can
boots.
how can I top that one? Not that you have to top it, but you're like, oh damn.
But
like,
you definitely shouldn't clench your fist and just be like,
no,
"That motherfucker."
no. It should be like a.
It should the deepest it should get is like a rivalry in like a very playful sense and just like he did well good. Okay, this has motivated me to do great.
Mm-hmm.
If it starts getting beyond that, because like I've heard like in LA comedy and stuff like people like sabotage each other.
Yeah, that's
Like-
stupid. That's idiotic.
Oh, it's completely idiotic
and I feel like those people probably
and
aren't.
petty and
I
childish.
feel like those people probably aren't that good at comics then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pettier you are, I feel like the worse you probably are. Maybe not. Maybe there's some people that are just assholes and amazing, and they're just like, geniuses at stand up. But
Cosby.
in general, I feel like the better comic you are, the more free you are. So like if you're free and like uninhibited on stage, you're not gonna give a shit who or what is around
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
you're just gonna do your thing.
Well, it's like, what kind of culture are you creating? Are you creating a place where we're going to celebrate each other? Or are you creating a place where we're going to cut each other's teeth, right? Like,
Yeah. Although at the same time, there probably should be some kind of like, hey, if there's comics that aren't doing well, like you're not just gonna pretend that they are.
yeah, of course.
If there's comics that are just struggling and thinking they're doing better than
Getting
they are.
actual constructive criticism is
Yeah.
one of the most fondest things I've gotten so far. When
Mhm.
people have told me something, I'm like genuinely like, man, I'm glad I heard that.
Like stop dancing. That's bad advice. If you're gonna dance,
More serious
cool.
ones along the lines of like, this is an area where you could improve your act or something, or like this needs punching up, or like that was good. I really like what you did with that. Expand upon that. Like,
yeah. So
like a culture where you're just like you don't want to be like a sorority girl comedy culture where you're like, oh my god, that was incredible.
you're amazing.
You are amazing.
You
You give life to this venue. and like
That
they like
reminds me.
bomb and you're just like,
oh my god, you're so good.
like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
please.
Like no, I know how it sounds.
Like I have sometimes been I've had problems with being too honest with people in the past, if such a thing exists, which it does because it's ended poorly. But like sometimes I'll say harsh things to people and like I want them to be better. Like some of the like I like giving constructive criticism, you know? But like sometimes it doesn't feel great in the moment. You're like, I kind of got to be the guy that says this.
I hate doing it.
It's about being confrontational. I think I had to learn how to do that being a teacher.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
When you're directing a classroom, if you can't just like ignore those things.
Yeah.
Like when a student has a glaring problem with the way they're approaching like a situation, you give them something and they're just like they're not grasping the concept. You have to acknowledge it and then build, right? You can't. You can't just be.
I feel like if I were a
just
teacher, I could definitely do it. If I were a teacher, and I've done coaching before, and if you know what you're talking about, I feel like it's easier to point it out.
Well, the analogy for coaching would be like you see someone and their technique, right? Is just like they need work.
Yeah, no,
but you got to be the
right.
guy to come over and be like, look, I really want to work on your technique.
Yeah, the only reason I'm able like to do it so easily with coaching is because I know that area so well that like I can do it without even doubting myself. With comedy or like I'm new to it too, so I don't feel like if I had been doing comedy for like a long time, I might be quicker to be able to be like, look, you should do this.
Well, that's why
I actually know this for a fact that this is a bad idea of what you're doing.
That's why you got to hang around the older guys.
But now I just gotta like, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out myself. But plus it's creative, which is trippy. But yeah, dude, I was gonna ask you. So you used to be a big guy.
Bigger.
How much did you weigh?
I think I peaked at 240.
240, and how tall are you?
6'2".
Okay, so you weren't that big.
Yeah.
I mean, It
was also when I was like, because I'm 21. So think the time frame. I probably wasn't at my max height yet, but like that's still about 60 pounds plus. 60
heavier
plus
than what
pounds.
you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closer to 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, that's not as heavy as I've been. I'm 6'3". My heaviest was like 255.
Okay.
When I was playing football.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're a big guy, and you weren't playing football. You were just.
I was I was
student?
athletic. I kind of like my mom always pushed me to play sports. I always played soccer. Was the big thing.
Man,
and
you're a big ass soccer player.
My coach pulled me aside halftime. Not pulled me aside. Actually, this was in the middle of like the halftime huddle. And he looked at me in the eyes and said, "You are the slowest player I've ever coached in my entire life." He looked at me into the windows to my soul. As Keegan-Michael Key once said, "Windows to my soul," he said, "You are the slowest player I've ever seen in my life." Like slow like that too.
He just said you're a piece of shit.
Like every word was dripping with meaning. You are the slowest.
What'd you say? Like, yeah, coach, you want me to work? Okay, I'll try to work.
How do you say? I was a freshman in high school. How do you say something in response to that?
You can't just get fast.
Yeah, I'm just like
I'm on the team, so you want me to just go?
It was JV. I could not be on the team, but like,
oh, you couldn't.
Well, no, I could not be. Well, kind of not. I mean, I didn't go to a big high school, so it would you'd have to be a real piece of work if they were to say like, yeah, you really can't even associate with the soccer team. Like, so I heard that, and that was one of the spiritual awakenings for sure. I mean, certainly my teammates didn't let me forget that.
You became anorexic after that?
No, I didn't become anorexic. I've luckily avoided developing an eating disorder. I have not.
I'm just kidding. Eating disorders are bad.
I have the utmost respect for people that have conquered that demon, of which I know many. But it definitely didn't feel good. I was definitely not happy about it. I think I was aware about it by 8th grade, where I was like, because I think once the whole like puberty thing hit, because like being a fat kid is actually pretty fun.
Really? How's being a fat kid fun?
Before you get super self-conscious and like the emotion starts stirring and you start becoming a man and realizing that like it's really horrible because you have poor outlook on finding girls and stuff. Like your odds are looking pretty low.
Okay, so before you know you're fat.
When you're like 9 and you're overweight and you're just like, man, I fucking love cake. Like you're like, yeah, and
it's kind of cool to be a fat kid.
No, it's like cool. It's just like, man, when I make cannonballs, there's so much water that like when you jump in the pool and you make a bigger splash than everyone else. You're like, I make a bigger splash than
any of you motherfuckers.
You have a little chubby boy swag.
You have a reasonable amount of chubby boy swag. And I was playing soccer at the time, so the swag didn't really reach far into that realm, but I hit hard. Like if I were to body someone, it was like you were on the ground.
Yeah.
That was my thing because I played defense. So it was basically like it was almost like jujitsu. Like you can't get too close to me because I'll find a way to foul. I got really good at that technique of like finding ways to foul people without getting called for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking back, not a great outlook for anger, but like, yeah, it's how it is.
That's how I would play soccer. I never played growing up, but then, we'd have leagues with my office back when I worked in Michigan, and we'd play. And I was always bigger. I wasn't 240, but I was, and I played like a football player. I didn't even have soccer cleats at the time. It was indoor. I had like basketball shoes that I was running on the turf with. And like I would just run over. It was co-ed. I would just run over girls. I would just like, and they'd be like, "Dude, you ass!" Like David, like oh, and I would just keep running around.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't have a lot of finesse with soccer.
That's why I switched to lacrosse.
Okay.
Because you can actually throw people.
In high school, you did that too?
Sophomore year of high school, my best friend, he became a lacrosse freak, and he was like, "Dude, it's time for you to start playing lax."
Did you play defense on lacrosse too?
Strictly defense.
Yeah, so you had those long ass sticks that were like 10 feet long
yes,
and you could hit people with?
Yeah, I felt like a pikeman.
Dude, you kind of seem like a guy that would just like beat the shit out of people with the stick. Like
I'm very calm, but I don't know. I'm enigmatic. I was captain of a lacrosse team and a robotics team at the same time. Like that's just my energy.
Yeah.
Like I'm just in both of those worlds, not fully, but at least partially.
Yeah.
So
you were still, like the 240. I
started working it down a little bit, but then I was like, all right, I need to start taking this seriously. By senior year, I was like, hey, look, man, you have had the worst coming of age puberty of any man. You have not so much as held hands with a girl in a romantic context.
Dude. So you've been denied. You were a little overweight all the way up.
A little bit. I mean, it was like my BMI was getting a little lower, but I was in the 90th percentile for pretty much all of high school.
So what happened? Not to go over traumatic stuff.
Oh, this is nowhere near traumatic.
So you had the coach say you're the slowest guy ever. Did you have any other stuff where kids started to kind of be dicks to you?
I mean, kids were dicks to me in some capacity about it through. I mean, I was bullied pretty bad in middle school and a little bit in elementary school as well. So that certainly didn't help. And then, of course, having a lot of athletic friends. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like, yeah, I don't really want to look like this.
Yeah.
And then it took the motivation of realizing how much healthier I would just be and feel.
Uh-huh.
And then also, I can't act like the girl stuff meant nothing because, when you're a young man and you know that there's a very specific reason that you are getting absolutely no retention.
No ass.
No ass whatsoever. Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah,
bro.
It was horrible. It's
hard being a kid, man.
It was also I was always like, oh, there are dudes. I wasn't like that. It wasn't that fat. I've got wicked stretch marks and I feel very good about myself. But there was oh, there's always dudes way bigger than me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm fine. But I just had a belly and people would mess with me for it a little bit. But yeah, senior year, I was just like, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. every day and running.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And that was pretty good. I mean, I slept through all of my classes as a result. You wake up at 5 a.m. and you go for a run before school.
Yeah, you're pretty beat by the time 11 rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, I had to be at school 7:30. Yeah. I was dead.
Uh-huh.
So it was just also about eating healthier. It's maybe I shouldn't eat Totino's pizza rolls all the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe all this and that.
So the weight just fell off because of your running and updating your diet? Or did you do anything?
The longest yard was kind of when I got to college and I was like, I want to lose the last 30. Because I think you had 60 to lose? I was 210 when I was in college, first starting out.
Okay.
And I was just like, man, I really need to get in shape.
Yeah.
Like this is getting bad. Because also, my literal best friend in the world has been a semi-professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So I'm just
so this
next
guy's
to
making
him.
you feel like a piece of shit. He's
kind of. I mean, by comparison, But
He's
at this
just
point,
like cut as hell, and like you're just like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have another pizza roll.
yeah, he's cut as hell, and like I just didn't. There's just a point where I was looking at myself. I was like, man, you don't work out. You don't get any girls. You're like
Yeah.
a charming, but like it's getting you nowhere. Like you got to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
It was like right when I joined a fraternity. I was like, fuck, dude.
Dude, reinventing yourself, that is something that it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to do that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It's meaningful if you can go ahead and do that, whether it's through like weight or like, you know, with football, I've done that. Like you'll have multiple times in your life where you can reinvent yourself, and the people that do it are the ones that like get ahead. I think.
Yeah. Well, I realized that like workout was kind of like working out, running especially was like something I really needed in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a great emotional, psychological vent. Everything, you just sweat it all out.
Yeah.
Like, it was so good for me. It aligned with so many of my goals. Like, because the other biggest thing at that time is, like, I needed, you have all this pent-up energy and rage when you are, one, a virgin at that time, and two, so you're 18.
You're not a virgin now.
I actually still am, but
Are you?
yeah, I am.
We don't have to. All right, it doesn't matter.
No, but
Continue.
like I know I could at least not be if I wanted to right now.
Okay.
Back then, I said
wanna
that,
break some news
but it
right
didn't
now,
mean
or-
anything. Like I've been saying that for a long time.
I'm a virgin by choice.
It's
It's not my
it's not
choice.
fully by
but
choice.
That's
It's not like it's
that's
fully
a
by choice.
stupid-ass joke.
But no, the point being, it was just like you're a young man. You have all this chemicals flowing through you, and you're deeply dissatisfied with your situation.
So you got to reinvent yourself.
You got to reinvent yourself. Like,
Yeah.
what else was I to do? I was like, man, I would really not like to be addicted to porn. Like, like this would be great if I could just like stop masturbating forever, and I could just work out hard and like find creative outlets and enrich the relationships in my life.
So that's what you wanted to do.
So I needed to find outlets. I needed to break the spell of just being, I don't know. It was not even being depressed or deeply unhappy. It was just being nothing. Like I just felt like neither high nor low. I was just kind of existing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just kind of in like a walking sleep. It's like go to engineering class, complain about my homework,
Yeah.
do the homework,
Yeah.
hang out with my
Yeah.
friends. That's the fun part of the week. Okay, now I go home.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Like,
Yeah. It's funny, dude. I feel like adulthood is like that for a lot of people.
that's the thing.
Like I've had periods in my life where I'm just like, dude, I got to do something. Like I got to reinvent something about myself again because I'm going to kill myself if I'm just, just bored or whatever. Like that's, it's happened several times in my life. Like
I think
I got to pick a new goal, level up to that goal, try to do it, and then, do that until it feels comfortable and mundane, and then you do something else or do the next level of what you're doing. Like stand up is cool because it's like something that like you'll never arrive at.
Yeah.
The only thing that stops you from doing it, the only thing that could stop stand up progress is just stopping doing it. There's not like a level you reach where like it's not worth it anymore because it's the process in of itself is worth it. But
well, it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, maybe not, it's everyone's experience is going to vary, but you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely feel that. Nights that I do not prepare well, I do poorly. Nights that I prepare extensively, I will at least do somewhat better. Like it's not for sure.
You have a chance to do better.
Yeah.
It's like football, dude. It's like sports. Our coach used to have a saying. He would say, you have to work your butt off. You have to do every rep, every mental rep, Monday through Friday for a chance to win on Saturday. You don't even have a guarantee of winning. Like you need to put in all that work because your opponent is, and no matter how much you prepare ahead of time, no matter how much film study you do, no matter how much you think you know is going to happen, as soon as the ball snapped, that could all go out the window, and they could do something you didn't prepare for. It's like comedy because like the crowd could be different. Like you think you have your set down pat, but like the crowd could do something you're not expecting. It could make your set go horribly, or the guy in front of you could like do something racist, and then you're like, well, you know, now the audience is too tense to laugh, or like, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, these are all tough things to wrestle with, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I matured definitely a lot younger than a lot of my peers. And it's another reason I felt like it was hard to relate to a lot of people in high school.
Yeah.
I just, circumstance led to me kind of growing up early. So I was feeling those feelings for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, let me start exploring outlets. And I found those outlets.
What other outlets did you have besides, you had music, lacrosse?
My biggest outlets definitely in life, up to that, so before comedy, which has taken over a lot of my time now, biggest one, number one, was music. For sure, that's my number one. Probably will be forever, unless I go deaf, which is entirely possible at this rate. But music, I love literature. I love reading. Okay. That's something I came upon.
Who are some of your favorite authors?
Oscar Wilde, Irish.
Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, Dostoevsky.
Yeah.
Fyodor Dostoevsky. Ayn Rand, I like a lot.
Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, I read. I have Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. I'm almost done with Fountainhead. I'm going to start Atlas Shrugged soon, but I also want to read another Dostoevsky book. I've got a lot on my reading list.
Dude, I'm such a poser with literature. Like, I did well in school, and I would do my best to keep up with the reading. And I like can appreciate those authors, especially for like how my professors conveyed like how brilliant they all were. But like, I feel stupid when it comes to some of that, where like I read slow, and I also didn't pick up on the brilliance the first time.
Right.
Like, I had to be shown it. Like I have to be like, I have to listen to a lecture by Jordan Peterson or like by my college professors to bring out what was brilliant about it, because I'm like, I was kind of hard to understand. Shakespeare's super like, it's super, what is the word? It's just challenging.
Yeah.
You know, the Old English, it's like.
That's true. That's another layer.
And I appreciate it, and I want to appreciate it, but I'm like, I don't really get it the first go around.
Yeah. I didn't encounter any of these authors through school. It's mostly just been kind of independent. Like
so you're just smart.
You're
saying you're smarter than me?
I hated reading for school. I would literally do everything to avoid reading for school. But like, if there's a book that I want to read, I will read the fuck out of it. Like,
Sure.
So I'll go in searching that meaning.
Yeah.
And so then it'll just kind of like,
reading's tough, man. Now with like how people consume content, I feel like the percentage of like people who read was probably already low.
Yeah.
Like early 2000s.
It's a weird thing.
And now I bet it's like even smaller. Like if it was like 90% of people don't really read in like the 90s, early 2000s, I bet now it's like 99% of people don't. Like it's either books on tape, podcasts, or like, you know, TikTok bullshit.
That's the thing about the TikTok bullshit. I have a lot of pursuits that I don't really have friends that I can like share them with.
I feel like maybe more people say they read now, but don't. Do you think
I
that's
don't.
true?
No one in my generation does. I mean, I'll catch them if they try, but like to this point, most of them just say no, I don't read. They don't attempt to fake it. So
in a way, if you have free time to download the information via like an audiobook or a podcast, that might be a better way to consume it nowadays. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I do audiobooks for philosophy and then reading for literature. And that's not out of a deep principle. It's just kind of the way it turned out over time.
Yeah.
Just because some things I like having in the background, and some things I'm like, I want to read every word.
Yeah.
But also always listen to something like more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
I've actually gotten that point of like advice from somebody. If you want to read something that you hope to stick with you or take something away from, you should read it a minimum of like 10 times.
Yeah. I'm on a couple listens through a good amount of things.
Yeah. One piece of literature that I did get through, honestly, I read the whole thing. It was that Norm Macdonald book. Have you read that yet?
I have not.
I've talked about it on a couple of podcasts recently. Yeah, pick it up.
Based on a true
you
story.
Dude, you can face the chair.
Yeah, I could turn. Based on a true story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one, oh man, I got some crap on this. Yeah, it's not that bad. How many pages is this?
Does it have pictures?
It does.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful.
It does. Norm, rest in peace. Yeah, it's about 240 pages.
Okay.
It's not terrible. And it reads like he talks.
He talks pretty damn funny.
So I feel like books by comics might be easier to digest because comedians, you should write material how you would say it because that's the only way to translate to laughs. It has to be conversational.
Yeah.
So
That's a weird thing about writing. Yeah. I don't know. I've never gotten into a more consumer literature. I don't know. I could.
is that consumer literature?
I don't
What does
know
that
if
mean?
there's a term for it. I just kind of invented that maybe. I just like.
What do you think that's like?
No, that's not supposed to. That's not supposed to be looking down on. I'm just saying, like,
I think that
I would potentially read it. Like, it's just I don't know. I just
no,
have a list.
that book is brilliant. It's actually
Yeah.
It's actually like a solid work of literature. It looks like it's not.
Yeah, it's got a cute.
But
cover.
it is very like mysterious in what he's doing. It is like hard to like wrap your head around exactly.
Well, I mean, if there's ever a man that I feel like I could have learn a lot from, especially just trying to dive neck deep into comedy the way I have, like Norm Macdonald's.
Yeah,
He's up there from one of the guys I can learn from.
but it's not a it's not like a true. It's not like a account of his life where he's saying this is how I was when I was this age. This is how I was. Like
yeah,
you know how celebrities can kind of get arrogant and pontificate about like
or it's just or
this is my experience and they're like
yeah.
it's a story about him writing it in the first person as like a gambling addict and with his stupid sidekick Adam Egget he like gives him shit the whole time and calls him like a buffoon and like
Yeah.
and losing all of his money and like traveling to Vegas to try and win it back and doing stand up in a very silly way, and there's jokes throughout, there's absurd stories throughout, and then there's like weird serious stuff that he throws in that like you don't know if it's real or not. But yeah,
Okay, well, I could add it to my reading list. That's
consumer
fine.
literature.
I just feel like I mean, I feel like I'm blessed in the way that there's a lot of things that like I want to do that like excite me. Like, oh, I want to read this. I want to listen to this. I want to see this. I want to do this. And like, man, there's not enough hours in the day sometimes, especially when motivation doesn't hit you to do things you'd otherwise want to.
Yeah.
Like some days I'm like, tomorrow, it's the weekend. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to read this thing. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do this thing. And then wake up, I was like, man, I should just go to Little Caesars right now.
Yeah. Dude.
It's a bitch.
That's the best guilty pleasure I have is
pizza. Well, especially I've spent most of my life in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
So I have a relationship with pizza.
Yeah? What's good about New Jersey pizza?
What's good about New Jersey pizza is that it's the best because it's New York pizza, basically.
Okay.
And the problem is everywhere I go,
So
it's an instinct that I want to eat pizza. But then I'll go somewhere and get pizza and I'll realize this is not good pizza, but I'm still eating it. But that
Do you
amount
feel
of
like it's a
carbs-
slippery slope because you used to be big? Like that you could just like... it's just right there. Like an alcoholic. Like where you could... you just
Slippery
pass a
slopes are
Burger
real.
King and you're like, dude, I could be like... It's like that scene in Dodgeball where at the end of the movie, like... Wit... What's his name? Have you seen Dodgeball before?
I've seen Dodgeball.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's character.
Yeah. I just don't know. Like all I remember about the end of that movie is
He's
like
like
the airport
super
bar.
fit, and then at the end of the movie,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
super fat.
Yeah.
Like he relapses. Like, do you ever feel like you could like relapse and be like, oh dang?
I mean, in the quite literal sense, I was literally 10 pounds heavier this time last week, or at least when I weighed myself at the gym last Thursday, Friday, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm 188. Now I'm 180. Now I'm 178. So I just stayed home all weekend and worked out and fasted.
So you live in a healthy fear of like, I don't want to go back to that place.
My scientifically unbased notion is that my body is going to need some time to adjust. As in, like, my metabolism over time is going to realize, because I think I've got like a pig metabolism right now where I just want to eat shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I need like 5 years to realize that I want to be skinny forever.
Okay.
And then that'll be
Your normal,
dissolve.
and then once you pass that 5 years,
Well,
then you can
there's a
kind
part of this that is not
be
mental.
less strict.
There's a part of this that is metabolic,
Yeah.
right? It's not all of it because I still want to stuff my face with pizza like a fat pig.
Yeah.
Like just imagining. I don't know why I imagine myself in the past as Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon, yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to him because he's one of the funniest commentators alive. But like,
he's fat though.
He's open about it, so I'll push his buttons like he cares. But like, when I see myself in the past, I envision Tim Dillon because I don't have a realistic picture of myself looking like that. I don't know. It's weird how the mind works.
Yeah. So how frequently do you eat now? Do you do fasting where you only eat a certain time of the day?
I love to cook. Cooking's one of my biggest passions, bar none. It's up there with therapeutic activities.
Nice.
So balancing out loving to cook with understanding that if I eat like there's no tomorrow, I can literally gain 10 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
Because my body just does that. Like over Thanksgiving and my birthday, the weekends were back to back basically.
Mm-hmm.
I literally gained 10 pounds. I was like, how the fuck did you do that?
Right.
And I was still working out during that time, which is the craziest part. But like, I love cooking, and yet also I realize you got to cut back sometimes. So it's just planning. I've heard some good stuff from some Harvard geneticists about how like when you eat is a very significant portion up there with what you eat.
Right.
So I'll just eat healthy and eat at productive times of the day.
So when do you eat?
Lunch.
You eat at lunch?
Big lunch guy.
Big lunch, and then you eat dinner?
Nighttime snack.
Just a snack. So you don't even eat dinner?
Like
a big dinner?
Wake up snack, big lunch, nighttime snack. Sometimes.
Give me an example of these snacks.
Wake up, have like a little bit of granola, maybe some nuts, some like maybe they've got like oat bars that are not like a children's cereal bar, but kind of like a fiber bar, maybe something like that in the morning. Then at lunch, just like kick out the leftovers tub or cook something from scratch.
Okay.
That's like just monstrous. And then dinner, since I started doing comedy, I would just eat like a Cliff Bar.
Okay.
And that'd be fine.
That sounds pretty miserable. The bookends sound bad. The middle sounds amazing.
The middle's amazing.
But dude, if I was gonna have like a friggin' Cliff Bar and nuts,
driving
and
home from the radio room knowing that I shouldn't stop at Taco Bell every Wednesday is kind of hard, But,
yeah, dude.
But it's about discipline.
I don't think I could ever. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I don't think I could ever make lunch my big meal though. I think I'm a late night eater for sure. And
I know I am, but I need to not be.
Yeah.
And also cutting out sugar and dessert. Like I went sugar free for most of this year.
Yeah.
Over the summer, it was not possible when I was home. But like, that's really good. And I'm no caffeine. I only drink water, and like protein shakes, and I'm completely sober too. So I just kind of raw dog this thing we call life.
Dude, that's insane.
Like I have a long and storied reputation for being the sober kid back home. So I DD everyone.
Have you ever drank?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been drunk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've woken up under ping pong tables with a jar of moonshine in my hand.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I decided that was the last time.
It's good, like about being drunk.
In safe and controlled environments.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people that never drank should drink because like they're at risk of later in life discovering it and then being like, "Oh, this is crazy."
I know my ancestry.
Like I know, you're Irish. your people are.
Yeah, it's not.
In Dutch, do Dutch people have an issue with alcoholism?
No, I just act like I'm the most Irish kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually in my personal life way more associated with the Dutch side.
Yeah.
Like heavily, but yeah.
Well, I feel like there's I know people like I grew up real strict, and I have relatives or friends, adult friends or whatever. Like they're really strict, married young, with like another very strong Christian upbringing person. Never partied, never did anything, and then they get divorced, and then they become like people out at the bar later in life.
Those are some of the worst.
And
I feel so bad for those people.
Discover. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Hopefully, they like get through that other season, and then like it's just wasting time though, because it's like you could have gotten that out of your system.
Yeah.
And then done it later, and then like married later.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of sowing wild oats.
Yeah, of course.
Early on.
I mean, I'm so glad that I got no pussy when I was still religious. Look, it's worked out beautifully for me. Looks at camera.
I'm so glad I did.
I'm so glad I got
got
no
no-
pussy while I was still religious.
Yeah.
Because then I would have been tempted to marry the bitch.
Oh, there you go. But that was just a funny sentence.
Sometimes one-liners roll off my tongue. Sometimes I just choke on my words. We'll see where this goes. But like, yeah, I went to a Catholic high school, which is like if you want to imagine like clamping down on the religious aspect of like constraining sexuality even more, that's being at a Catholic high school, because they don't even have sex ed. They're just like,
Google it.
they're not even like Google it. They're like, don't Google anything. Read the Bible. We're not going to tell you about it. Just know that you're going to go to hell if you give in to the intense
Bible,
and visceral emotions that your human
The Bible would be the
genome
worst sex
gives you.
ed book ever. Like, they don't talk about the actual anatomy.
I mean, look how it's turned out. How many, like you just mentioned.
Like, the word penis and vagina are not in the Bible.
No.
I don't think so.
I mean,
Actually, what if there was? Maybe in the Old Testament there's
think
some
I'm the
penis,
guy that's-
vagina.
I don't know if I can answer that.
Like, the anatomical terms of the human body are not in the Bible.
It is a book of wisdom, not a book of anatomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a tough aspect.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stuff happens at Catholic high schools because of that.
I kind of feel like Catholic high schools, I didn't go to a Catholic high school. For some reason, I'm remembering the Green Bay, Wisconsin high schools. I was going to go to school there. And a lot of Catholic folks in Green Bay. And I remember those high schools being the Catholic ones, having reputations for being the bad ones. Because they had more money.
Oh,
Their parents had more money. And then they'd maybe be like more of the drugs and more of the, partying, sex, all that stuff. That's what I was kind
makes
of.
the naughtiest kids. I mean, some of the most just depraved people.
Really? Was that at your high school too?
I mean, I feel like it's a breeding ground for kids to go down bad paths to like semi no fault of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're gonna offer very little avenues to give people, because there's a lot of wisdom that you need in your life outside of the Bible. I think there's a lot of wisdom in the Bible, but you also need to hear a few things separate from that.
You need experience.
Yeah.
You need to go out and get in trouble.
Yeah.
TP
You
a
need to-
house. Get drunk.
Yeah. Don't get told that if you put a condom on, you're going to hell, because that actually ends poorly a lot more of the time than it doesn't. I feel like,
What do you mean not wearing one?
If you actively tell kids don't use contraceptives in
Oh,
high
yeah.
school, like, it's not even like they didn't address it. They're just like, oh yeah, they're real. Don't use them.
Yeah, because that's a Catholic thing, right?
Yeah,
Don't
they're
use
like,
them.
we're a modern, progressive Catholic high school, so we're going to acknowledge the existence of contraceptives so that we can tell you to not use them.
Yeah, and they'll say like use.
And then girls are dropping out and getting pregnant, and it's just like these people.
they'll say like use the rhythm method.
Natural family planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rhythm method. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough climate. A lot of naughty people come out of there. I learned how to lie so well.
Yeah.
I was almost getting too good at it.
To keep up appearances.
Yeah, to friends, family, my mom and stuff. Just like, cause like what is it? One of the jokes I have is when you're raised Irish Catholic, you're only taught how to lie to yourself. You gotta figure out the rest, So that's like a big part of going to a Catholic high school. You just gotta learn to lie.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a theology class where you have to do like confession once a month and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like mandated for a grade, and
Dude.
write essays about your confessions.
Oh my god.
You know what's so weird is that it's
That's-
supposed to be between you and God. And I don't disrespect this at all. I think it's a pretty good venting mechanism for people who otherwise need it. But like, it's supposed to be confidential.
You're
And
like,
then
is
you have
it
to write an
really?
essay about it.
Yeah.
I think that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just like, you need to say everything that's on your heart in this booth. And then tomorrow morning, I need an MLA formatted 12-point double-spaced essay about what you said.
Yeah, we're gonna need you to
on
put this
my
in
desk.
digital format.
Yes, saved on a computer hard drive forever.
Yeah, dude, that would suck.
And
So you'd go in this little room, go in the kneeler, and like say, "Tell me your sins, my son," and you'd be like, "Well,
Yeah, the problem is after a while you stop doing it, honestly, because you start getting more and more ashamed of the fact that you're just like, man, I'm kind of over this. Like at first, I remember the first time I ever did confession, I was so contrite. I was like, oh my God, Father, like I don't remember what I did really bad, but I'm sure I did something. Because like when you're little and you're religious, like there's nothing that's breaking that spell because you haven't kind of compartmentalized it all and figured out like where you haven't poked holes in it yet. Your life experience hasn't poked holes in it yet.
Totally agree, man. When I was little, I was so hard on myself. Yeah. I hated myself anytime I would deviate from what I was told that was right. Like anytime I strayed, I would hate myself. I'd be like, oh, it was an impure thought. Like it was like there was no way to be perfect. And I know the doctrines of Christianity would say that's okay. That's why you have the gift of grace. But I was still like, no, I still hate myself because you still said it was wrong. Just because and just because I'm like confiding in, the salvation doctrine and doesn't make me automatically be good. Yeah. So I still would mess up. So it's like, well, I still hate myself. And yeah, that's true. Like as a kid, you're under that spell to where there's
it's literally like because you're raised
there's no broader context for you.
You're raised like it is the most well-defined, unambiguous reality. Mm-hmm. Like you are raised like this is exactly how everything works, and there's no questions you can ask about it because there's no answers you need. It's like, okay, like you're just like, okay, all this stuff is real, cool. Mm-hmm. And then you start getting older, and you're like, can you explain this? Like, can you help me with this? Like, I don't get this. Like, why am I feeling this way? Or why is this like this? Or why do you hate this person? Or like, why did this happen to me? And it's just like, then it gets to the point where you just got to be like, oh, just trust the narrative. Just trust. And over time, I'm just like, I think I just kind of need to figure this out on my own for a little bit.
Well, you should. And I also think there's a lot of wisdom in it too. Oh, yeah, I don't think it should be dispensed with entirely. It's just,
I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm just in a stage. I don't know where my trajectory is. I know where it started. It started with being Roman Catholic and having personal events happen where I'm just like, man, I'm not super on board with this right now. And now I'm just growing.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the most important things you can do when you're 21 is realize that you got a lot more growing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the same in a few years. Probably not going to be the same in a year. Like I didn't like the me of a year and a half ago a whole lot, but here I am now liking myself a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Gotta acknowledge that path.
Weird, man.
So I'm not gonna act like everything I say is set in stone,
Yeah,
I might be very religious down the road. I just hope that I arrive to that rationally because with the speed with which my mind races through all that, it's just like, man, you better figure that out.
Yeah.
I can't take people's word for granted. It's just like if it's out there, if it's real, if that benevolent force is real, man, I will find it someday. Just got to be confident in that journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Just be hopeful. I just don't like cynicism in general, in like anything, like pretty much.
What do you mean?
Because
being cynical about religion?
I mean, that's just one thing. You could be cynical about a whole lot of things. It's just, I feel like I like getting things done. Like I like being productive, like in some sense of the word. Like I always like being intentional. And cynicism kind of is like this doesn't matter.
It doesn't serve a purpose.
This is just fucked and it's beyond, it's just like giving up. I don't like giving up, I'm very anti-giving up. Yeah, that's my statement. I don't know.
Yeah,
within reason, obviously. Like, if something's bad for you, you gotta give it up, but not like being hopeful.
Oh yeah. Being, yeah.
You can have hope and faith outside of religion.
You can, for sure. Yeah, I kind of lost where I was gonna go with that. But yeah, there's like cynical atheists that kind of crack me up. Cynical atheists are like angry. They're like, there is no God, and look at all the reasons that you're stupid for believing it. They're like, They're like wanting to evangelize the other way, which is kind of funny. And I don't think there's any time for that either. That's kind of cynical, where you're like, I'm miserable, so come adopt this worldview, be as miserable as I am, and
Yeah.
if you're not this way, then look at how stupid you are. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they're as attached to atheism,
Well, it's
in a religious devotion sense.
man, deep attachment to anything is a killer, right? Like in a devotion sense, yeah, that's really tough.
Yeah, then it becomes like a dogma.
Yeah, like dogmatic atheism is that's kind of a mind fuck, you know. Like, but yeah, that when I look at that type of person, I'm just like, who hurt you?
Yeah,
You know? Like something tragic happened to this person, whether incrementally or suddenly, that led them to be like this.
yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like their point of view would be more convincing if they were like chill and happy with life.
Yeah.
And probably a lot are just like, just vibing. There's
Yeah,
no
like
God.
I might have radical ideas about things, but I'm very chill, and I like enunciating, and like, this is why I feel this way, and like, this is, I like,
You don't believe it? That's cool.
yeah.
I'm not gonna get too hung up on it.
Yeah.
It happens. I feel like the older you get, the more that stuff can just roll off.
Yeah.
Because you realize that how pointless it is to try and change somebody's mind who doesn't want to have their mind changed, and then you're just like, F it. If you come around, great. If not, that's cool.
Right.
Like, don't waste time. Don't waste time on that.
Yeah.
Don't waste time trying to convince somebody of something. You know?
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, there's so many different areas where you just got to realize, don't waste time on other people sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough lesson, but.
So, yeah, politics can kind of be like that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of politics, I wanted to get your thoughts because we both listened to that same Joe Rogan podcast today.
I'm sitting up in my chair.
Yeah, with Dr. I forget his name.
I was rehearsing it before we went live just to like, it's like, what is his name?
What is his name?
Can I just peer at my phone?
Yeah, sure. Pull it up.
Context,
Well,
I still have the Spotify pulled up.
yeah. Well, he's pulling it up. We're recording this on December 14th, so this is a Joe Rogan podcast interview that he had with a doctor.
Peter A. McCullough.
Dr. Peter A. McCullough. You got his credentials right there?
I just have the Spotify screen pulled up.
I think there's his credentials on the description of the episode.
I will look at that. He is a certified cardiologist. He testified before.
Put the mic closer to you.
Board certified cardiologist who has testified before the committees of the U.S. and Texas Senate regarding the treatment of COVID-19 and the management of the ongoing pandemic.
Right.
That is who he is.
So what's your take on this episode? This episode, like, shined a light on what was going on at the beginning of the pandemic and cast doubt on the official narrative that was being put out, the consensus from Fauci and all the leaders versus what could have been done differently. So, like,
yeah, I'm hesitant to say I was shocked just because you said right at the beginning, oh, you're a history buff. Like,
want to lay out what the claim was?
Well, his claim,
Yeah.
this guy, is that, he was kind of flipping between this is based on incompetence or this is based on malice. I think he decided it was kind of
Incompetence.
I think he decided it was more like organized. Somebody was okay. Let me just walk it back. He's claiming that the response to the pandemic, the mass mobilization towards vaccination, was not driven by science.
Yeah.
And he is in the camp of people. How do I trying to phrase it very well? He believes in an approach of early detection, early treatment via the quote unquote everything in the kitchen sink, including a variety of FDA approved drugs. And he's big on testing, as opposed to how he actually claimed vaccines are harmful.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing to me, because like I've heard a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, it's moderately helpful, it's good, and I'm vaccinated. Like I was cool with it. And then
I regret it kind of after today's thing.
Well, I always reserve judgment on things because I am a kind of a trust no one, assume nothing kind of guy, and I always like double doing my independent research before I come to very specific conclusions about things.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that I just watched this today, you can bet your ass that I'm going to be researching it and verifying what he said and interpreting it for myself, just to have peace of mind. Because I don't want to be that guy that's like a sycophant for dudes who just like rattle off statistics that they haven't personally learned the impact of.
Yeah. No, I hear
I like
you.
doing independent research, even if it's redundant. Like
Right.
if it's redundant, that's totally fine because that means that I grasped it well. I
Yeah.
understand what's going on. Because, you know, there's a lot of uninformed politics and stances out there. You know, I don't want
Yeah.
to be the guy that has one of those.
Yeah.
So
That's definitely a wise way to look at it. And I think to me it was pretty compelling, and I need to listen to it again and double check
Right.
things he was saying.
Well, what's never compelling is censorship. Because what
Right.
his biggest point is that censorship of studies and criticism from the academic community on potential treatments for COVID-19 has been a huge detriment to the ability of specifically the US, but also other NATO countries to adequately respond.
Mm-hmm.
That was his stance. And I mean, the censorship thing doesn't really surprise me in the slightest. I mean, think of how many crazy things have been propaganda or censored throughout history, right? By any government, you know?
Give me some examples.
You know, like Gulf of Tonkin, you know, like
I don't know that one. No.
that's like the start of the Vietnam War. I'm thinking of things that are like not conspiratorial, like that are just fully released that's common knowledge by now. Gulf of Tonkin was like the North Vietnamese attacked this U.S. ship in the South China Sea. We need to invade.
And that didn't actually happen.
It was fake.
I did just watch that. Yeah, I watched the CNN documentary. Not that CNN is the
like-
bastion of truth.
Hey, guy. Well, that incident is literally so declassified
Public
that anyone
record.
could report on that.
Right.
Or like, hey guys, there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Yeah, that's
Hey
a good one.
guys, you know, Colin Powell testifying before the Senate. Like, if we don't go in there
Yeah.
now,
Dude,
we're
that's
going
an
to see
interesting comparison.
a complete genocide of the Kurdish people, which didn't happen.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. The WMDs
Yeah,
and the COVID thing.
it is.
Because WMDs, like that was the entire justification for that war, which cost thousands of lives, destroyed tons of people.
hundreds of thousands of civilian lives as well,
But
that had no stake in this game.
and COVID, I'm not saying it was deliberately engineered and released to kill people.
I'm
But,
saying it's exactly not that. Yeah.
but because there was like an angle for vaccination as being the solution, and treatments that were very promising based on preliminary data were ignored or suppressed.
More than ignored, like disavowed, like just removed from the table.
Right.
Right, of
like, and it was
possibilities.
used, it was like shaming. It was like, if you think this, you are an idiot. Like,
It was illegal. In some countries, there are doctors that have been arrested, if not in some places, specifically I believe South Africa, imprisoned for treating patients with, you know, the everything in the kitchen
hydroxychloroquine,
and ivermectin and whatnot.
ivermectin.
And like they're imprisoned. Like, this is not like for malpractice.
Mm-hmm.
And now this guy's coming to like, look, we have the data.
Like, now the data's shown, like the
And-
early studies were already showing that these things
Right.
weren't going to kill you,
Yeah.
that they were very helpful in
And
reducing the
we also
likelihood of
know-
hospitalizations,
Yes, we also know that
reducing the likelihood of death.
there's also been an immense amount of propaganda that has been saying those things are bad for you. That is like that. If you've watched, Joe Rogan talks about that Rolling Stone article about gunshot victims in Oklahoma City having to wait outside in the snow, which doesn't exist in Oklahoma City in the summer, because ivermectin overdoses were filling up the ER beds.
Yeah.
You heard about that? Like, just blatantly fake stories. Like,
Well,
it's
it's
just
hard. There's a lot of fake shit
It's
on
concerning.
both sides.
Yeah.
But the
If you
thing
view it
that
as a side
the
thing,
thing
yeah.
that Joe Rogan, I think, tried to drill with this guy on was did the fact that Donald Trump was pushing hydroxychloroquine and was pushing this preventative approach. He's a problem solver. He wanted to solve it. But because Donald Trump is such a polarizing figure that most people on the left or in the media hate, they're not going to get on board with anything he said. In fact, they're going to disavow it because it's coming from him, not based on any real data. They're just going to say this is irresponsible. We don't know enough. And they also said they used the study to discredit it based on people that were already hospitalized being treated with hydroxychloroquine.
Yes.
It wasn't based on how effective is it if you start giving it to somebody who gets COVID before they're hospitalized.
Whereas the important
By the
note
time
is
the
that
virus is already replicated.
you have
in
to
your
use
system.
it on them early.
Yeah, you have to use it early.
You can't use them while they're
You
hospitalized.
can't use it late. Or if you can't,
It
if you
prevents
use it late,
replication.
I think he even said even if it's used late, it doesn't really have a harmful effect. It just doesn't help you anymore.
Well, no, it wouldn't be a harmful effect. Its purpose is to prevent the replication, and once you're at that level where you need to be hospitalized, it's already run its course. It's at its upper limit. Like you're not preventing it from spreading anymore. You just have to survive it. It's
Right.
already fully present in your system.
Which, if we have these treatments available that are safe, like treatment should be the
monoclonal
focus.
antibodies.
Yeah,
That's
what
the
are
biggest
those
one.
again? Do you know? Can you describe about those?
So, to my knowledge, I have not studied them extensively.
What are they called?
Monoclonal antibodies.
So these are like antibodies that you can inject.
Yeah, it's not like with a needle, but you can. Is it with a needle?
You can
I
take
mean,
them
I haven't
orally,
personally
maybe?
had it. I believe you take it orally. You
So instead of getting the
Essentially-
virus, or instead of a vaccine, you're actually consuming the antibodies.
you're,
that right?
Yeah, you're consuming an antibody.
You should
that
have
will
a subject
fight it.
matter expert. I'm asking.
Yeah,
you as if you are one.
I
I have a lot of faith in your 3.8 GPA of this.
That's fair. I mean, I have not researched the monoclonal antibodies a lot, so I'm not going to speak a lot about them. I've mostly looked at the other stuff, but like, yeah, that has at least proven from what he said. So I'm going to take him face value on this one.
Well, he testified to this before Congress.
Yes,
in
but
the Texas
that
Congress.
doesn't necessarily mean that you're infallible, because Fauci has testified the opposite things before Congress, and neither one of them has to be wrong.
Right.
I'm just going to say one of them has to be wrong.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, something is afoot. And he was saying something about how they were planning for this before, but there's a lot of research.
Well,
I
the
need to
thing
do
about
this.
that
That was the scary part, where they were like preparing before the pandemic started, something like
they
that.
knew it was going to happen. They wanted it to happen.
The scariest thing about that for me, I mean, there was the heart-wrenching story about the girl who needed the heart transplant and then still died, which made me outwardly sad. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me was the pharmaceutical industry, specifically about how they're not going to want to have less money after this. That's the big thing, because it's just like, how do you
They
go
gotta
from
keep upping
having,
the ante.
how do you go from making, it was like $130 billion. How do you go from making an exorbitant amount of money to making a less exorbitant amount of money? Well, you do everything in your power to not make less.
Yeah. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Like, just
Why would you want to make less money?
If your company's publicly traded, it's kind of all relative. Like, if you're super
Yeah.
profitable, you kind of are under pressure to like not drop off from that.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what's motivating any of this, but
I think this is going to be one of those situations like Iraq, like Vietnam. We're going to look back in a good. I'm gonna put it at 12 to 15 years, and by then we're gonna know pretty much we're gonna know 90%. We're at least gonna know everything we need to know to be like, all right, this is what this was really about.
yeah.
And we're going to look back with 2020 hindsight, and we're going to say, these were the people that did not have the public interest at heart,
Yeah.
and these were the people that did. And
We acted off bad intelligence. It's so funny. I think it's
actually crazy how often that is the problem.
well, yeah. I mean, the claims that this guy was making were insane. Like, okay, so one of the biggest claims that was insane to me was he said, had these early treatments been pushed, 85% of the COVID deaths were preventable. That is insane.
Yeah, his first testimony, he said 50, and the second one, he said, I'm actually upping the number to 85.
Especially-
He doubled down. He says, I am all in.
Especially when there was no vaccine available at the time these therapies would have helped. It's not like people
Yeah.
were suppressing that because there was a vaccine at the time. There wasn't a vaccine yet. It wasn't developed yet.
Right.
So
But
that's insane.
it was, and like, I think, I mean, they were in development heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he also said allegedly there was development beginning for at least one of them before the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yet again, I'm gonna be researching all of this.
Yeah.
But
But it is interesting
because I don't like being taken for a fool.
comparing these mistakes to history. It's not like anything is like out of the question.
Yeah.
I don't like
Almost
to,
nothing
I don't,
surprises me.
I don't like to
from
be
that, yeah.
conspiratorial per se. Like think, oh, this is a grand. But like we have effed up. Like I like the WMDs example. We thought there were WMDs, and we used that as a precedent for war. And people, there's always a conspiracy attached.
Yeah.
We wanted it for the oil. We wanted. Well, Bush was finishing his daddy's war.
Yeah.
Or Vietnam. We
But
thought
there's a difference
we thought
there,
that
yeah.
was gonna communism would overtake the world if we didn't do that. If we didn't free the Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And we had no business doing that, and that wouldn't have probably happened because communism implodes on itself anyway. But
also think about how the difference is Tonkin was undoubtedly staged.
okay,
Like that was staged. Like it was
Yeah.
fake. Like they couldn't, because you can make the argument, and I'm not going to fully dissect it, but you can at least make a reasonable argument that the Iraq situation was bad intelligence. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty anti-war, so I'm not going to really condone either option to a large degree.
and we had 9/11 as a justification for terrorism,
Right. Even though that doesn't really tie back to Iraq in any
Correct.
meaningful way.
Yeah.
Like in any meaningful way. It actually ties back to Saudi Arabia more than anywhere else.
Right.
But like you got to wonder what is incompetence and what is like ignorance versus malice.
Yeah.
What can you chalk up to either? Because there's a lot of evil in the world that you have to kind of parse into both the categories.
Yeah.
In order, because you got to process things. You can't just like say, well, this is fucked, swigs alcohol.
Yeah.
You got to, if you're going to be an intellectual, you're going to be a minded person. You're going to be mindful
Measured.
of the climate, and you're measured. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You got to process things. You got to formulate opinions on them. And sometimes you got to be like, is this ignorance or is this malice? Or
Yeah, the
is this
thing-
just the nature of the system that
Yeah.
this exists within? Or
Yeah, I feel like 2020 was so crazy that there's nothing that's really off the table, which is really destabilizing. Like if there's nothing out of the realm of possibility, then that means everything you had assumed about the stability of the society could be questioned.
Right.
Like the government could do this to their own people.
I mean,
The Chinese government.
let's tie
could
it back.
do it.
The Haitian government has collapsed. Like they're like after the prime minister was assassinated on July 7th, they're not holding another election right now. Like the U.S. has heavily considered moving the military in on behest of the UN at that, just because the place is devolving. Like,
Okay. Well, so
But how far
governments
away-
can collapse. My
how far away are we from like that could happen? Like
it could happen.
that could happen here.
Well, yeah, but the thing that scares me is like, is it engineered? Is it malice? Or is it just incompetence? I hope it's incompetence. I hope
Yeah.
it is because
You
if,
sound
if
like
these,
I hope it is, man.
if it's conspiracy,
Yeah.
to like,
At least 1% of it is conspiracy. At least 1% is incompetence, right? There's no shot that absolutely nothing is happening that isn't guys in a room like, we're going to make some more money right now. But also, there are some absolute
but are they just being
buffoons, too.
opportunistic on the incompetence, or did they create the whole thing? That's a big difference.
I mean, we're talking about layers upon layers. We're talking, there could be a layer of incompetence and then a layer of malice, but then caked upon that layer of malice is another layer of incompetence.
Yeah.
The immense potential for the government to step on its own feet.
yeah, the government is not
Like it
good
can
at
step on
doing-
its own feet so easily.
Mhm.
Like this, it's the situation speaks for itself. It's just
Yeah, that's a good argument for it being mostly incompetence. Is
Yeah.
the bureaucracy is responsible for responding to something like this faster than they're ever used to doing anything. In fact, to
Right.
where those agencies are not doing functions they're supposed to be doing. Like
he
I
said
forget
that
which
on the podcast.
Yeah, I forget which agencies he said
FDA.
were responsible. The FDA
was
there
not issuing the notices it should to the doctors, where they're like the guidelines that they needed to treat patients were just not getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the first publication, I believe, on this topic was his self-published
Yeah.
kind of like field guide.
Yeah, and if it is incompetence, it's still horrible news because it's like, wow, like a lot of people who died
Yeah.
didn't have to die. If this guy's right, like it could have been handled differently.
And keep in mind that in both situations, there's a remarkably low level of accountability.
Yeah, because who do you blame? Because
Because it can
If
get
this- if the-
lost.
also, like, okay, so like Donald Trump is pushing this stuff,
Right.
Because he's political by nature. Half the country's going to hate what he says and just reject it because of who he is. And Trump's not really an expert, so he's saying this might work, and he's trying to help.
Yeah.
But then if experts who have this wrong view say no, don't say that because it's not right, he'll be like, well, you must be right because you're an expert.
Yeah.
Like Trump would listen to them. So like, and then does the media demonize?
Oh, well, then
These
that's a whole
treatments.
nother. There's like
Because they don't like the messenger.
there's two layers to what you're saying. There's the what's happening at the top and how much of that is people being incompetent, being poorly informed, or trying their best. And then there's the whole media layer, which is a whole nother beast entirely. How that gets reported on. Do we want to push it like this? Do we want to push it like that? What's our goal? They're not the same thing, but man, yeah. It's these caking layers. I mean, I want to be super. The only avenue I have for optimism is change because, like, do you really know anyone that's, like, super satisfied with the status quo?
Like right now?
Yeah, like in our country.
No.
No, like, I don't either.
I think things were actually pretty decent from 2016 to up until the pandemic.
Well, at least you have something that you're looking for there. But, like, I don't know a single person that's like, I can get some more of this.
Things are good right now.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I kind of like this.
I mean, I'm happy
unless
in
you
my
work for a
personal
pharmaceutical
life.
company. Yeah.
I'm happy in my personal life. Yeah. But shit's pretty unstable is what it feels like to me. Pretty
makes a man really kind of want to think about the join the Thubband party.
Yeah.
Just
Burn
tear
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you listened to Travis's episode, yeah.
Yeah. He's an inspiration.
It's easy to get cynical because you're like, well,
So
all
easy.
these people are just and that's not necessarily true. There are some good people.
Yeah, I mean, my semi-role model, a man by the name of Michael Malice, says take the white pill, which is like because we all talk about the red pill and the blue pill. And
Wouldn't
all
it be
that
the green
crap.
pill?
The white pill is the hopeful pill.
Green is the color of hope. Do you know that?
Is that like a Star Wars reference?
No. I don't know what the reference is to. I think it might be like actually mean that based on
who decides what color means what?
Good question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly.
But I remember I had an English professor in college and he would, instead of grading in red, he would grade in green because it's the color of hope. And
I think he was just a Star Wars fan.
Is it a Star Wars thing?
Well, the lightsaber's green.
Or blue.
Yeah, but blue is like yeah, I think the green means hope too. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a man who can answer that question.
Anyway,
tis not I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made you feel a little better when he's like tearing you new asshole with this paper and saying, here's a D, but
it could be a C minus. Your next one, I'm thinking big thoughts for you, dude. Your next paper is gonna really punch above this weight because Jesus, it needs to for that grade.
I was pretty good at English actually.
That's fair.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. After I listened to that podcast episode, I didn't really know what to think.
I mean,
because I stay out of it.
Yeah.
I try to. After it's exhausting. Political stuff is exhausting. Staying on top of it is exhausting.
I avoid political conversations like the plague in the public sphere.
Do you ever watch Fox News or MSNBC or the
I don't
networks?
watch any corporate media.
Yeah.
I don't watch any TV.
It's really interesting. Jordan Peterson made a comment about on a recent podcast of like how the legacy media has no idea how irrelevant they've become. They don't like they're so irrelevant for anybody under 30.
Yeah.
Which that's why I asked you because you're under like.
No, I literally don't have cable. I don't turn on the TV ever.
Right.
Yeah.
They are so irrelevant. They can't even believe it, and they're losing relevance faster than they know how to cope with. So that to me seemed like that's why the network news is getting more outrageous. Because if you think about it, if they're about to die, like right before an animal dies,
supernova.
Yeah, or supernova, or right before an animal is about to die, they kind of like thrash around,
It's
like
death rattles,
just
just
death throes.
Yeah, the death throes.
Yeah, and that's like the last of it, and then they'll go away, and then we'll be left to piece together.
Will they? Well, I don't know. I can't speak for the future of that. I mean,
I don't know if they'll go away. They might evolve into something else, but
yeah, it's all about where you think the future of this concept we call neoliberalism is. I mean, that's a fancy word for like what this world order is of like liberal republics that kind of collaborate. Like think of like NATO. It's like neoliberalism, what it's called. It's kind of like this
Liberalism, not liberal as in left leaning.
No,
liberalism
I like
free.
I hate that term. Because I like, I'm a little bit of a nerd for history. I like those terms in those contexts. Like
like a classical liberal.
Like liberal in the classical context is like I am in France in the late 1700s and I'm going to cut the king's head off because I believe in human
freedom.
rights. Yeah, that's what a liberal originally
liberal means
was.
Free.
Yeah, and back then conservative was support the king for the state. I don't like how those terms have been twisted.
Flipped, yeah.
But what I'm saying is like that world order right now, man, it's not no king rules forever. Things aren't looking too great about the world stage. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm hopeful, but it's going to require some action.
I like our institutions. I like the fact that we have 3 branches of government and that are supposed to check each other. I like they're shaky, but they're still working. I'm worried about the financial side of things.
Yeah.
And just the fact that we have so much debt that we have to finance, and inflation is really starting to rear its head, and it's like because inflation, if anything, that could cause broad instability even more than what we have now. It's like if people can't buy food, or gas, it's like,
right. Yeah. Well, as someone who loves reading literature and philosophy, it's led to me to a situation where we're kind of like what I've described it as is ideology shopping. Like you go to the supermarket and you kind of push a cart through. It's like
shopping for
communism.
New ideologies.
No, it's like so I read a lot of like that kind of philosophy, just kind of soul searching. Like what resonates with me? What convictions do I like? Because I cannot stand the current political motifs of the country that are just not rooted in literature, philosophy, it's only rooted in like shallow human experience, I feel, and like broken statistics. I don't see a lot of truth and light in it from my personal experience in like the modern parties and their institutions. And I have a lot of friends who are very politicized and have drawn their line in the sand and liberals, blah, blah, blah. I'm searching for something a lot more meaningful than that.
Yeah,
the problem is I think I've found it. The only issue with that is it's kind of the more thubbin side of things, which doesn't bode well for the future.
Oh, you're more of a cynical outlook?
No, not cynical, more like anarchist, but like still,
shit.
I don't know. I'm young. We'll see where I end up.
Yeah, I accidentally flipped on Fox News the other day. It is hard to watch.
It is.
If you haven't watched it for a while or like ever,
I've only seen clips of it in a comedic context.
It's like
Mr.
It's like so in your face, and it's like the same stories on a loop by the different talking head of the night. And MSNBC and CNN are all the same, and it's just like so attention grabby.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I was like, man, we got to be such crackheads for this to be like what works at getting people's attention. It's like bah bah bah, and then even the commercials are just so ridiculous. Like you got the My Pillow guy.
Oh my gosh, he's
and you got
there are people that genuinely like celebritize him.
The Christian Jewish Alliance, talking about these poor Israelites who need food. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. Like, it was just all the cliche. I was like, I felt like I was
ads
watching
are propaganda.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching an SNL episode. I feel like it was parody when I was watching, and it was just like, this has got to be crack for people. Like this has got to be bad. And there's people, if you watch it every time, you're kind of desensitized to it. It doesn't seem weird.
Well, there are people that genuinely enjoy that, and it's hard. Like there are people that they're just like, this is my news station. These are my ads for boner pills. This is what I like. This is I watch this. That resonates with me. And those they're out there. They're real. It's not my tribe, but
Yeah, I think maybe the point is like
different strokes for different folks.
To take a break from stuff, like, and it might be like, there's probably stuff we obsess over. We should take breaks from, or I should.
Yeah,
like you take a break from like consuming all comedy shit for a while. Like there's more to the world than just that.
Yeah. I have plenty of. I consume a lot of like. Something's always flying at my brain. I'm always listening to something. I'm always trying to read something. Sometimes I'll combine the two. And you got to unplug every once in a while and just breathe, meditate. Meditating's great.
You do that?
Yeah.
I was gonna
I do
ask
a lot
you.
of old people mindfulness shit.
How do you meditate?
Well, there's two ways. There's active and kind of passive. Passive is like I'm going to block off this time to kind of do things around the house but be completely unplugged from stimulus. Something of like a dopamine fast. It's like all my electronics are going to be off and I'm just going to be alone with my thoughts. And then there's like active, where it's just like you are sitting in this spot, in this position, and you're just going to work through things. And my favorite place to do that is the sauna.
Okay.
I'm a big sauna guy. I'll sit in there for
Dude, that sounds awesome.
20 minutes on like the highest temperature. So you're like actually torturing yourself to a masochistic degree. But like everything will come out.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with long runs. Like I run like half marathons and stuff.
Nice.
And those like, this is something like Joe Rogan talks about a good amount, but like opportunities for growth through putting yourself through discomfort. Hormesis, that's the name of it. It's a weird sounding word.
The hormesis principle. You put yourself through hard shit, and then your body responds
with positivity.
Right.
And
that keeps you young.
I think
the hormesis principle keeps you younger. It helps with longevity.
It helps with longevity, but for me, because I'm already young and I have sterling skin,
I'm concerned about it.
I mean, you have every right to be, but like the thing for me is just like mental toughness, because like a lot of people my age have no appreciation for like you got to go out and you got to do hard things.
Yeah.
Friends of mine, colleagues, associates, that thing that gets you say, I had a long day at work, but I'm about to run 10 kilometers and spend 20 minutes in a 240-degree death box.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take that time to just let my emotions kind of drive me a little bit and just work through anything. And then at the end, my body will be tired, my mind will be tired. But man,
so when you meditate
so well that night.
When you meditate in the sauna, you just let thoughts kind of pass over?
Well, there's two styles. If I need, so there's like what I do normally meditation, which is like I'm just meditating, and then there's like I need to process something. Passive meditation, I'll always have music playing, but it's like dreamy kind of music.
Okay.
The kind that makes your mind kind of bubble and turn colors and whatnot. Just, I'm a big music nerd, so I got all sorts of categorizations for this. But the genre I'm really referring to is shoegaze, which is written on my shirt. But like
shoegaze,
yeah, it's a great music for getting you out of your own body. Just, it's like rock, but if metal is the equivalent of rock music taking you to hell, shoegaze is the rock music equivalent of being pulled up to heaven.
Okay.
So I like.
So it's positive vibes.
It's ethereal vibes.
Cool.
Yeah. So
okay, so
like,
back to your motivation or back to your meditation.
Yeah, so it's like I'll play something like that, something to kind of like make my mind, because it like literally it will change like the frequency with which your brainwaves operates. There's science on that, scientific literature, that like you can raise the hertz, like the literal unit. Your brainwaves will go at a different speed, so you'll be in an altered state of consciousness a little bit, which is good because since I'm totally sober, I actively seek out ways to enter altered states of consciousness without substances, and I've had reasonable success with it actually.
Yeah.
But meditation in hot places, sauna, even a steamy shower if I'm at a loss. It's been very good for me, especially when I was in isolation a lot.
Yeah.
And I would go a long time without seeing people, like 9 days.
How? When were you not seeing people?
So when I was at school last year, I lived in an apartment with 3 dudes that I did not really know because they had the opposite sleep schedule as me. And when I mean opposite, I mean like they slept when I was awake almost exclusively. And they were also a little bit reserved.
You weren't seeing people
they were kind of
in class?
I had only online classes, yet I was still living at school. And I couldn't hang out with the fraternity guys because we were under super tight regulations. And so I was just alone a lot, which I'm used to. Like I spent a very, very large chunk of my like formative years alone when I was younger. Being an only child was one part of it. But so I'm good alone. But like you need those mechanisms too. Because otherwise you'll go actually crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what meditating is for me. It's interpretive. I know. I don't use like an app or anything, but I get a lot out of it. So I don't feel the need to.
Yeah.
Though I'm totally open to trying it.
Yeah. I need to start meditating. I think that might be one of the things I do in 2022.
Your New Year's resolution?
Yeah. I want to go to therapy.
Okay.
I want to meditate.
You want to go to therapy? That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want a second set of eyes on and just to hear, like, because I feel happy and like I've never done it before.
Mhm.
I've thought about it, and I want to like get to a place of maybe clarity about the future.
Okay.
Where like I feel like I'm on the right track with a lot of stuff, but I also could really use a second set of eyes.
Yeah.
It's dedicated to, like, you know, even because I think a lot of therapy is just hearing the person talk.
I've been
hearing the client talk. Okay, yeah. So like they can
Asterisk
hear you
to
talk,
that, though,
and they
yeah.
can be like, "Here's what I'm hearing, and here's what I think you should maybe do based off of that, or here's some strategies you could apply."
Mine was different though, because it wasn't like casual therapy. I was like 13, and it was 12, and it was like trauma therapy. It was like not good.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So it was like look at this image and tell me what you see, and just like tell me about your dreams, and like,
oh shit,
do you have an inclination to violence? Like, I don't know.
Do you want to talk about the trauma of like what?
I mean, you've heard my comedy, but like, yeah, it was just around the time my dad passed. I actually really felt I didn't need the therapy. At least I didn't think I did. Maybe I did, and I didn't realize it. I'm taking it for granted now.
Mm-hmm.
But
how old were you when he passed?
I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's so
2013,
hard,
I was
dude.
12. Yeah, it led to my like early teens. Learned a lot of double-edged. I picked up a lot of double-edged swords. You know.
Not
Like,
really. What do you mean by that?
Kind of just like personality traits. Like, I've got my weird sense of humor, but it's also a little affrontish. I like being alone, but also I'm hesitant to collaborate on projects because I just like am very single-minded.
Mm-hmm.
It leads when you're alone and you're kind of bullied at the time, and your friendships in your life are really weak. You kind of need to develop a bit of a superiority complex to cope.
Yeah.
So I had that problem for a while, and I was still kind of working through that up to the present. And so I get a little arrogant sometimes, but
Yeah.
like I really try and completely eradicate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that helps a lot because like I'm prideful and I believe in myself, and like, you know, I'm confident, but
good
at the
to have
same
that
time, I need to
self-assurance.
not be too much. Like, I'm self-assured and I've never been depressed, and I think that's tied to it. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. Like a lot of these things, it's weird because when you like get to, you know, 20, 21, you start realizing that your childhood has a pretty large effect on the person you become. I don't know. I feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, just experience has kind of molded outlooks, tendencies, inclinations, habits. But yeah, what
Yeah, I
I'm
feel
saying
like
is therapy was, I can't say it was great. I don't know. I don't remember enjoying it. I don't remember feeling like it
It's
helped
hard to
me.
appreciate it at 12.
That's why I'm reserving judgment on it. I don't think I don't feel the inclination to go back. I have a great support network, and I routinely have good, long, deep conversations with friends whenever I need to. So I don't think I need that therapist in my life, but I don't know. If someone were to drag me into an appointment, it wouldn't be kicking and screaming, you know.
It's probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself in that I think I have really good coping mechanisms for the modern world.
Mm-hmm.
I love cooking. I love working out. I meditate. Music makes me feel all the emotions I need to when I need to. I've got an album for everything, right? Like, and now comedy is another huge dopamine source, right? That'll just give you the rush that you don't get a lot of the days otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that on top of being sober, reading a lot of literature of people having struggles that I can relate to.
You got a lot going on, bro.
Yeah. Well, I tried to, you know, it's bad to waste this time we got.
Yeah, you got to bake in some time to chill.
I used
How
to
do you
only-
relax?
How do I relax? I play video games with my friends.
Okay.
That's my relaxation.
Yeah.
That used to be all I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should learn Creole. You know?
Yeah,
I need to
yeah.
become a more interesting person.
It's cool to have that, like, go, I think, wiring, especially.
Yeah.
You're, like,
Well, it's like,
you'll figure out.
Yeah,
You'll start
I'll figure it
choosing
out.
stuff as you get older.
yeah, I just want comedy to remain in that picture, you know?
Yeah, dude.
But I think, yeah, you could go to therapy. You could enjoy it. I mean, a lot of
I like
comedians
use
talk
this
about
for therapy. Talking to people about their, like, it
Yeah.
helps. It helps just talking out shit.
Yeah, like, you know, I feel like a lot of my convictions, though, come from having lived through that kind of darker time, right?
Mhm.
Like, if I had never gone through therapy, I'd never been good at processing stuff. Yeah, I'd probably be a train wreck now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really can't speak for it. I just got to be grateful of the way things went, and that, when I look back on hard times, bad times, like the summer I just lived in my basement and didn't talk to friends. And like there was literally a summer of my life where all I did was sit in my basement and watch porn. Like that was it.
Oh God.
That's how bad it got. Like I was like
tough.
14.
Yeah.
I was just not coping well.
What
So hard times lead to good times.
Yeah.
Bad mentality. Now I've got a good mentality. Had to work on the glow up.
What glow up?
The glow up. And I was overweight back then. And
Yeah, dude.
yeah,
You're fit now.
it's
You're
just
killing it.
It's
What
a journey.
What is your biggest dumpster fire story? We got to probably wrap it up here in a little bit, but
That's true. Okay, the biggest dumpster fire story I would say is this is like the first time I ever fasted. And I say that because it wasn't really a fast so much as it was me starving in the wilderness. All right, sorry. I keep forgetting the camera's there.
Yeah,
I like
no.
turning my chair.
no, that's fine.
So I used to go on like wilderness trips in Canada.
Okay.
I'm a Canadian citizen.
You are? I didn't know you were Canadian.
Yes, I'm Canadian.
I thought you were a real person.
Yeah, well, I have a dual citizenship, so I have my foot in one realm and the other at the same time, right? So I used to go on canoe trips in the, lovely lakes and rivers of the wilderness of Canada, around northern Ontario, northeastern Ontario. And every year I went, it ended in some kind of disaster. The first year I got Lyme disease and fell off a waterfall backwards and hit my head, which is probably why I'm funny. The second year, like how Roseanne got hit by a car and then...
Oh, jeez. I don't know that backstory.
The second year, I had a hot coal impaled through my foot and I couldn't walk for a while because I stepped on a sharp, flaming hot coal and it just burned.
All the way through?
No less than 70%.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
So there's still a scar there. And then the third year is the biggest dumpster fire of my life because it's this area called the French River. It's a beautiful area. 130 kilometers, I believe, is what we were set to do over a span of 5 days. Get there. I'm with about 12, 13 other people. We push off from a small little fishing village in Canada, just like a trailer park, but for Canadians, so they just fish.
Okay.
And we get on our canoes and we're going to do a long day. We're going to have a good rewarding day. We're going to paddle out into the wilderness. So we go about 60... No, I think we went about 40 kilometers first day, which is good. And making good pace. If it's 130, we got 5 days. We had a really strong first day while we were well rested.
Yeah.
And we sit down at our campfire. I'm like, damn, we're so hungry, man. Let's kick out the food.
Okay.
And then we start looking around. We realize, oh, we didn't bring any food.
You forgot food?
There was a miscommunication.
Okay.
Or a misdirection or a mistake.
Can you just go back, or is the river going one direction to where you couldn't?
So it is a big circle, the river.
Okay.
It's a huge circular river. It kind of feeds back into itself, but it has a strong current.
So you can't go the other way. You have to complete the circuit.
It was in our interest to go in the direction of the circuit.
Yeah.
Or at least I wasn't really in command. This was there was like the dude kind of in charge was like, we're gonna do the other like 90 kilometers. Like, he's like, all right, well, we're having sleep for dinner. So the mission was basically we have to go 90 kilometers on water without food.
So it's freshwater river, obviously.
Freshwater river.
You could drink out of the river.
Inland. Water wasn't a problem. Well, kind of. I mean, like, you got to be careful about it. We one of those trips, a lot of kids got like beaver fever, they called it, because they accidentally drank beaver piss.
Okay.
But yeah, the water wasn't a problem. We were hydrated. The issue was that we were without food in the north of Canada, and it was a great time for me to kind of.
How cold was it?
Deep. It was July, so it was like 50 degrees out,
Still
maybe
pretty
60
chilly.
degrees out.
And at night, it's pretty cold.
Well, the next day, it actually began torrentially hailing and raining. No, the hail was the day after that. So it was freezing rain. Freezing rain, got down, temperature got lower. We are wearing bathing suits and life jackets in freezing rain. Kids are getting frostbitten, and we are just paddling, going for like 13, 14 hours straight just on the river.
Because you were starving.
Because we're starving. We're going to go crazy. Because this isn't like a fast where you get to be mindful and you get to meditate and do yoga and like
you gotta
and drink your snake juice or whatever. This is like
because you didn't have electrolytes either.
No, we had nothing. I was also 13 years old. I think I need to mention that. So this was all a bunch of younger guys.
Fasting as a kid.
Yeah, this was in 2014.
Tougher mentally.
Yeah, this was in 2014. So, well, it wasn't fasting to us. It was we don't have food and we're gonna need to eat Ben if we can't get some fucking food, you know. So, you know, counselor picks up his satellite phone because it's like the only phone you can get reception with is like the high-tech satellite phone. He's like, look, we need someone to pick us up. Like, they're like, pickup's not coming for another like 4 days. So we go. We like, the fishing village has to have something. Like, we're going to the fishing village. It's the only civilization out here.
That was at the close of the circuit.
So when we're at the circuit, we're like, we are going to go on shore with these canoes. We are freezing. This kid is literally purple. The youngest kid was like literally fully purple. It's freezing. We dipped our hands in the water for warmth because the water in the river was warmer than outside. But the problem is when you take them out, you get colder.
Yeah.
So we get in these canoes. And if you ever wanted to know what it looked like for like Vikings to like raid the French countryside in like their longships, it was us in our canoes coming ashore in this fishing town and just destroying property. Like, just, we needed food. We hadn't eaten for about 2 days by the time we got there. There was people that called that place home.
Did they help you?
So the crazy part is that we actually did end up bringing our barrel of food, but we forgot to put it on the canoes. So when we left the fishing village, we left the barrel behind.
So the barrel still there?
Our barrel full of food was still there, not where we left it. It took us breaking into someone's shed for us to discover it. But that moment where you Viking raid a French fishing village and you break into someone's shed and you find a barrel, like just this beautiful, pristine barrel filled with like pita bread and like shitty Asiago dip. And like, it was the most beautiful meal of my life. we pulled up at this place. It was like the big main lodge in the town, like the town hall. And they had this little shed next to it. And I wasn't the one who entered forcibly, but somehow that door went from being locked shut to being open. I did not see an adult involved, so I'm assuming we ripped it open. And by God, our barrel of food was in there against all odds. And we celebrated and we ate pita bread and Asiago dip like there was no tomorrow.
How many days was without food?
It was 2. It was a solid 2.
Okay, that's not as long as
it wasn't bad, but I was 13 and there was rigorous physical exercise and it was cold out.
Sure.
And also all of our stuff had gotten wet because we had capsized in a whirlpool, one of the canoes. So it was just kind of monstrous. And you know, that wasn't the last bad thing on that trip. Like, our campsite got struck by lightning. I got like sent back flying. We had hail so big it destroyed like personal property. It was like golf ball size. It destroyed my sunglasses. When we left, it turns out I got like this rare skin disease on my legs that like that basically crippled me for like a while.
Jeez.
Like I had like a cut somewhere, like a mosquito bite or something, and I went in the water and it got infected. And I don't want to gross the viewers out. I'm just going to say it was bad news.
Yeah.
Like, it was like kind of like flesh-eating bacteria. It ended poorly for me. There's like a famous photo of me with my legs completely wrapped in gauze, sitting in like a wheelchair or something, going like. So that was a dumpster fire of an experience. But I learned a lot of important lessons from that.
Yeah,
it was a great time. I look back on it. It's one of the fondest experiences of my life. Just sitting on a rock, staring at the sunset, knowing that I have no food and I don't know how we're going to eat.
Yeah,
just looking at, because the nature is beautiful and untouched out there too. So like, we're looking, it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah,
I'm just chewing the scenery right now because I ain't got shit else to chew.
There's a movie with Liam Neeson where he's like just facing the elements and he's like wrestling with, does God exist or not? But he's just like just him against the elements. I forget the name of this movie.
Oh yeah, I was fully at that level with like the existentialism
because
this was in the bad mental time too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was about a year after
and
I lost
like
my father.
even though it ended up being 2 days, like if you knew it was going to be 2 days, you didn't know though. You didn't know how long it was going to be.
We were told that the people aren't coming to pick us up until that 5 day. Like we have to find a way to survive. And we got very lucky that a nice, friendly French Canadian who we defaced the property of, presumably, had kept our barrel in earnest.
Oh, you were hungry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We could have done much worse.
Shit happens. You could have eaten each other.
Yeah. Two of the dudes.
Cannibalism ever enter the equation?
We were so close to that. Two of the dudes broke into someone's house and used their bathroom.
It's like freaking Lord of the Flies and you're eating each other.
Lord of the Flies. That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that is my dumpster fire for sure. That is an absolute dumpster fire.
That's a good one.
I learned a lot. This is a big learning phase of my life, and it gave me an appreciation for nature and hard work. You can't teach a kid those lessons super easily. So now I love long hikes and masochism and fasting. That's just who I am.
That's good, bro.
Yeah.
Well, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
God, this is going to be the dumbest tie-in ever. I've searched a lot for advice and wisdom, and a lot of it's long-winded, but in my
pick a short one because we got
in my studies of the Creole language, there's a proverb. I believe it goes "Sapoklim se passeu," something like that. I have it written down on my phone because it's very important to me.
All right.
What it means is what you don't know is greater than you. It's like a very.
I like that a lot.
It's a very commonly spoken proverb in the Haitian culture. What you don't know is greater than you, and I love that because if I haven't already kind of conveyed that I'm a nerdy seeker of useless knowledge, not useless, but I'm a kind of a bookworm now. But I love learning. It's just about shit, and comedy is no exception. I love learning and. You just got to know that you're never done with that journey of
what
learning.
You don't know is bigger than
and you could apply it to personal situations what is the truth about your relationships in your life and whatnot. What do I know, what do I not, what do I know about myself, what I don't know about myself is greater than me, and what I don't know about the world is greater than me. And being 21, that's a pretty important thing to keep in mind because I know a lot too many people my age that are very sure about everything that they're going to be and everything they're going to do.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And they're like, I'm going to be this, and this is my 5-year plan. And it's like, man, I really wish you the best with that. But
it's like
you just got to be along for the ride.
And you're always kind of in a state like that, I think. You're always in a state of you think you have a framework, and maybe it broadens, but you're always kind of going out into the world with your little scaffolding of meaning. This is how this is my little lens.
Right.
And then you run into something that happens and maybe your scaffolding breaks and you're like, fuck, now I don't know anything. But you kind of try to keep building it up and reinforcing it and maybe taking your experience and adding to it so that it can hold up more in the face of uncertainty and chaos. But
you're an undisclosed amount older than me.
I'm 33.
Yeah, fine. I know. But 31 would still be 10 years older than me, but you probably know so much more than you did 2 years ago.
A lot. I mean, I don't know. I
just
knew a lot
comedy.
on paper, kind of, but
but what does that mean?
Creativity means I had a lot of book knowledge and was seeking out how to best live my life in a practical way.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until creativity got involved to where I felt like I was making breakthroughs in a different way where I had deep meaning. I still had these practical psychological pillars I had to kind of prop up, but it wasn't until creativity where you put yourself under stress through being on stage.
Yeah.
And then not having it crush you and then getting stronger that way.
You're
and you
bigger.
can kind of you become more, you take up more space because you're just tougher. It's it's the same analogy of Jordan Peterson of you exist as within a walled city or walled garden. It's the same metaphor of a knight going out. The only way to expand the kingdom of your aware is to go out beyond the walls of it,
right?
face the unknown, which can be symbolized by like a dragon. You go find the dragon, you try to slay the dragon, you could get hurt, but you come back and you get the gold, and you expand outward.
Right. It's a very, very apt analogy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
So you,
who likes a know-it-all?
but until you like actually force yourself, to until you're brave enough to leave what you know.
Yeah. Or even what you're comfortable with, you could apply it to that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting outside of your comfort zone is exceptionally important for your development, right?
Until you leave your framework, you're not
like
gonna
my
be
comfort
able to-
zone was being 240 pounds. It's very comfortable. You feel great when you're sleeping because you like a body pillow, your natural pillow.
Yeah.
But those challenges, that waking up at 5 a.m., getting out the door and being almost mistaken for a bear and shot when you run into the wrong neighborhood, which also happened. Comfort zone shit, what I didn't know, if that version of Rory back then knew how great it would feel to be, me today as compared to how not great it felt back then, just for a myriad of circumstances, I didn't know, and it's greater than me. So just living with that mindset, man.
Yeah. And tying it back to like stand up,
Oh yeah.
I feel like stand up is cool because you expand what you don't know about yourself. Like you understand yourself better, hopefully, I think.
I've already a little bit.
If it's working, because the audience tells you about yourself in ways you don't see. They show you things that you maybe don't want to see. Like when sets don't go well, there's usually a reason, and it's either you're motivated more by fear, you're not being honest, you're not being authentic, you're not being brave in the way you need to, and they'll show you that, and then you're like, shit.
Yeah,
and it hurts,
and you could either own that, like you could either own it and be like, yeah, that is me,
or be like,
and,
F the audience, they're wrong. They're not wrong. I don't think the audience is ever really wrong.
Well, except for that time that they stood up and said I was a racist. I personally do not agree with that.
You're saying you're a racist,
but they were right insofar that my delivery was not what it needed to be in order to be good that night.
You were off the mark with maybe how you said something.
I was off
to them.
I know exactly that I was off the mark. I did a very poor job communicating that I was playing a character. Yeah. So it just sounded like this white dude grandstanding on stage about segregating the races and not talking about let's come together as a community to make fun of the asshats who actually believe that.
Yeah.
Happens.
No, those stories are funny though.
Oh, I love it.
As long
I
as
love that
nobody
happened
actually,
to me.
Hurts you.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, dude, this was pretty good.
Hell yeah.
2.5 hours. Dang, Rory. Got a lot.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I love long conversations.
Yeah. Before we sign off and stuff, what is your you got your social media going? I mean, I know you're on Snapchat.
I'm
I'm
underground right now. I'm gonna blossom at some point. I think I'm gonna hit the switch at one point where I'm ready to seriously pump time and energy into building a comedy brand.
Yeah.
When that time comes,
you'll take Instagram followers though, right?
I absolutely will.
Yeah.
And that Instagram is Rory F. O'Connor, one word.
Nice.
Spell it like it's Irish. If you've never seen me live, I'm like Rory Scovel and Sean O'Connor combined, both stylistically and literally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Those are two stand-ups I also like. Side note. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So yeah, that's my plug.
I love it. All right, dude. Well, thanks for coming on. And you're going to be going back to school.
Yeah,
soon.
Sadly, this is my last week in Greenville for the next 6 months.
Yeah, dude, I forgot to say that. Yeah, so thanks for coming on. I'm glad you came. And
I have tentative plans to return for the majority of 2022.
When you come back, when would you come back?
I would be coming back from May to December.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Well,
Might
dude,
deviate from it, but if I don't, I will always come back somehow.
Stay in touch. Keep doing stand-up in Jersey, bro.
Yeah.
And let us know what you know, because that expands our stand-up
Touché.
world. I like when people we gotta have Whitney on again, but I like when people move to other cities and you can kind of get a perspective of what they're doing. And just keep at it, bro.
Thanks, man.
You're a smart kid. I love it.
You guys have been so supportive here in Greenville. I can't thank you enough for the love you've given me and starting this. It's felt very genuine and very real, and I'm so glad that all the time I put into it. It doesn't always go well, but I always at least feel welcome to try. Yeah. And so many people need something like that in their life, and I am among them.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, and it was greater than me.
There you go. All All right, man. Well,
Yeah.
dude, good luck with everything.
Thanks, David.
We'll sign off now. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Suck passes on me.
Oh, my God. All right. See you guys.